Mighty man of war, Lion of Judah, we bow down and worship you, Yahweh, Yahweh. Come and do what only you can do. Mighty man of war, Lion of Judah, we bow down and worship you, Yahweh, Yahweh. Come and do what only you can do. Alekuno, ile kazuyo. Thank you, Jesus. Elele rakosana. Ulofuna. Talefuna. You're the God that killeth and also make alive. You're the lion, yet you are the Lamb of God. Yahweh, Yahweh, come and do what only you can do. You are my glory and the lifter up of my head. Demons tremble at the mention of your name, oh, Daddy, oh, God of thunder, you're the God of fire. We call you by your name. Nobody can do the things you do. Come and do what only you can do. Call him Yahweh.
Infamous Dawah apologist Mohammed Hijab is 4 things. He is a Mohammedan, obviously. He is a gooner. He is a liar. And he's a piece of shit. So, I've already covered the stuff on, the Christian side of things with Voice of Reason, as people are calling affectionately Cookie Gate, where he's thirsting after the cookie in the audio format. But I just like to compare and contrast to another very similar controversy occurring on the other side of things with our brothers of the one God, Allah, of Muhammad, even if maybe he didn't even exist, and the great city of Mecca that was also didn't exist at his time. So there's this guy, Mohammed Hijab here, he's the guy. He's the guy who would go to Speaker's Corner in London. He'd debate with all the dirty pagans and all the dirty Christians and explain to them why they're wrong and why Islam is the true religion and everything. And he got really famous for it. But, controversy has followed this guy. And I just I want us to think about 2 things while we go through this story. Number one, the minute all the stuff from VOR came out, first of all, who was it that put it out? It was Christians themselves. Number 2, I was so worried. I was like, they're going to sweep for this guy. They're going to cover it up. They're going to say, give him charity. But no, against my expectations, pretty much all the people who needed to came out and said, this guy's got to go. He's got, don't let him back. Have him go do his penance offline, but he shouldn't be influential anymore. Well, I wonder how the Muslim community is going to respond to something very similar, if not much, much worse on their side. Okay? And the way we're going to start this, we're going to try to start this in a way that is the most charitable to Hijab, because this isn't just a story about Mohammed Hijab. It's a story about him and his biggest A-log, okay? And you may think, why am I using these terms when we're talking about the theology sector of things? And we need a name for this area, this theology YouTube, because a thesis that I've brought up a couple times is that this is a stealth drama sector, guys, and we're the first ones to it, because all these people, they think that they're, this super academic, they're above it all or whatever. But I'm here to tell you that there are some lolcows hiding just under the surface in this whole sector on all sides of things, atheist, Muslim, Christian, who whatever. Now, remember when I talked about President Sunday and I said that, as crazy as that guy was, as kind of, Joker mode as he went over the whole Destiny leaks. I kind of like him because he's just this, he's filled with such hate, and he's directed his A-loggery at one target so much over such a long period that he's just like an ICBM pointed at Destiny. Well, this guy, David Wood, is like that with Mohammed Hijab. He's not the only one. We're going to get to a couple of the A-logs. But this guy, David Wood, and Mohammed Hijab have had a history for at least 6 years now, okay? And this video is just 2 days ago because of all these allegations coming up Mohammed Hijab, and I'm going to cover them extensively, but I want to give you a full history of this guy. Like I said, he goes to speakers' corners in London. He's like charismatic in like the basic sense. He can project confidence and whatnot. He's kind of this rising star in this Muslim apologist community. And eventually he has a debate with David Wood. But this video, we're going to start at the end of the story first, because this video is insane. Okay, this is David Wood responding to these Mohammed Hijab allegations. You don't really need to know too many of the details. He'll sum up a little bit about it at the beginning, and we'll go into exactly what they are. But just keep in mind, despite how crazy this video is, and how David Wood in this video straight up says, I'm a psychopath, okay? He is somehow going to come out looking way better than Mohammed Hijab, all right? Mohammed Hijab looks way worse than David Wood by the end of this.
See?
So this is, like I said, David Wood, his longest, biggest A-log. Him responding to now, it seems like finally, for realsies this time, Hijab might be going down. And he relates it back to his own experience of, again, being a psychopath.
A Christian psychopath trying... You know what you almost never see? A Christian psychopath trying to help a Muslim narcissist. Yeah, I'm talking about me.
Yep, he's talking about him. He is a diagnosed psychopath. He went to jail for almost beating his father's brains in for years. Now, in jail, he found Jesus, and he became this really well-educated apologist. But David Wood is open about the fact that he is a psychopath. And again, despite how deranged this video is going to be about him talking about how, psychopath to psychopath, he does come out of this looking better than Mohammed Hijab.
Me and you, Mohammed Hijab. Now that you're being exposed by one of your ex-wives for your abuse of women and for enlisting the help of dozens of your fellow Dawagandists to cover up what you did.
So again, compare VOR, everyone jumps on him and is like, get him out of here. But on this side, with Mohammed Hijab, as we're going to see, not only did his friends help cover it up, but he actually blackmailed his own sheikh to get him to help cover it up.
For lying to your followers and for blackmailing a sheikh, and for trying to discredit your victim by spreading a photoshopped screenshot and an AI-generated fake confession, you're rapidly...
Yeah, that's real. He created an AI voice of this accuser to try to get himself off.
Becoming a liability to the Dawa community. Your dear friend Ali Dawa lied for you, and this led to him being exposed for treating Muslim women like prostitutes.
Ali Dawa is like, he's Mohammed Hijab's top capo. He's like V. He's V to Mohammed Hijab's Sargon. And yeah, he tried to sweep for him and then got exposed for doing the same thing. A lot of what this is going to relate around is there's this very disgusting Muslim practice called mutah, which is this idea that you can have a contractual marriage that ends. All of this is an elaborate legal framework for prostitution. That's all it is, okay? It's, I can have sex with this woman, thereby, quote, marrying her, and then unmarrying her that same night. That way, there's no sex outside of marriage. People make fun of Catholics for the whole Schrodinger's annulment thing, but this is like a whole nother level.
Now he's known as the mutah guy.
Exactly.
Ah, okay. It looks cool, though.
David Wood was one of the main guys. Yeah, no, David Wood is honestly a really good apologist, and he's really well-spoken. It's just funny that he's literally a psychopath and makes himself look insane in this video, even though he is right.
That's in the mutah marriage, is that you?
No, maybe it's you.
Muslims at Speaker's Corner are getting blasted for helping you abuse a Muslim woman.
If you have dishonored them, then let them go.
Like how you dishonored Mohammed Hijab's second wife?
Yes.
Hashim, do not speak to the audience, especially about women.
Go
Because you abuse women.
Hey, by the way, dog, come here.
Yeah.
Let's
I remember we joined your line.
This dog.
Yeah, Hashim.
Come, dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doggy,
Is that how you treat women?
I treat you, dog.
Okay.
Are you a dog?
No.
You're
a
dog,
woman
but Jesus
abuser.
says dog.
No one in the Dawa community can feign ignorance about you because you've been showing your true colors for years.
You can lie to your spouse. In this situation, so the issue of this is that...
So can they lie in the context of, for example, if one says, I sense that you've got a second wife. Can he say, no, I don't?
Yes, you can. You can say that.
You can say that.
Yes, I personally believe this is.
White lies?
It doesn't have to be white. It can be a black lie.
The people the women who take it the best are the revert sisters.
Yeah, and so like all these quotes have been floating around for years, where he says you can like divorce or hit your wife for you can tell a black lie to her, that he takes advantage of Muslim reverts and everything. So it's no surprise that this stuff has come out, and things. We'll go through the whole history here, but again, only the first couple minutes of this are really about Mohammed Hijab. The rest is essentially David Wood showing his own taint about how much of a psychopath he is, but. He is so happy. It's like President Sunday, where he is such a dedicated A-log. He is such an ICBM on this guy that he's willing to show his taint a little bit just to dance on this guy's grave.
From my experience of observing the situation, I found
From my experience, the cackle of the
And
Antichrist.
now, because of your ego and your terrible choices, you've been exposed and humiliated by a woman you abused and lied about. Your fellow Dawagandists can't even open their mouths without being condemned for being associated with you. And YouTubers are turning this into a huge Mohammed Hijab pylon. Not a pylon in the Zut sense, but in the, oh my goodness, this guy is imploding and he's bringing all of Dawa down with him sense.
And just think about this language here, the pylon, they're bringing it down. Again, don't tell me that this isn't the stealth drama sector, because this is just like what would happen in the sector.
I've obviously joined the chorus of voices against you.
Yeah, joined. This guy joined it 10 years ago. Like I said, this guy they have been in this feud forever.
I'm in the chorus for a different reason. Most people are cheering for your downfall because they just can't stand you, or because they love to see Dawa collapsing, or because they want to help women who are being abused by the Dawa Diddy Club.
Dawa Diddy Club, let's go.
I share the goals of demolishing Dawa and protecting victims of abuse.
Yeah,
but I'm also here to help you, the abuser, the manipulator, the egomaniac. And I may be the only person on the planet right now who can help you, because I know exactly what you're going through.
So think about his angle here. His angle here is my victory after all these years is so complete. You are so destroyed by all of this that I'm not even going to come here and just like say the same things over. I'm going to come here and reach my hand out as a fellow psychopath and teach you how to deprogram your personality disorder.
Poor man. Let me tell you a story about the worst day of my life. The worst day of my life was not the day my grandma died, or the day my son died, or the day my mother died, or the day my father died, or the day my brother died, or the day Nabil died. It wasn't the day I went to a mental hospital, or the day I went to jail, or the day I went to prison. Nothing like that. Why? Because as awful as antisocial personality disorder is, it comes with an amazing ability to endure an endless array of bad events and circumstances without being fazed even slightly. But there's one way to seriously hurt a psychopath. There are lots of ways to hurt a narcissist, because narcissists are super fragile. But the most devastating way to hurt a narcissist happens to be the same way to hurt a psychopath. Now for the worst day of my life. It was towards the end of the first quarter of 8th grade.
So the worst day in my life, it wasn't when my son died. It wasn't when I went to jail for almost killing my father. It was getting in trouble in 8th grade. And I'm going to tell the world this story because my victory is so complete and you are so destroyed that I'm in a position to raise my hand out to you and still look better. Because that's the thing. As crazy as David looks in this video talking about how he got in trouble in 8th grade and how he's a psychopath and he's the only one who can speak to another psychopath, this is a victory. Like, he did win this, and Mohammed looks so much worse despite this crazy video.
I don't remember what I was doing, but teachers kept sending me to the principal's office. One day, I got called to the principal's office again, and the woman at the desk told me to go into the conference room. I walked into the conference room, and there, seated around the table, were the principal, the vice principal, the guidance counselor, 4 or 5 of my teachers, my mom, my mom's boyfriend, and my
Mom's
grandmother.
boyfriend.
And
Explains a
I
lot.
knew instantly that all of these people being together in the same room was really, really bad. Because I acted like a different person for different people in that room. You see, people were always feeding me information about what they liked and what they didn't like. If I wanted someone to like me, I would pick up on what they liked.
This is like when Persip, like, and the worst day in his life was when he broke up with PvP, and he's been talking about it every stream since. That's like this guy getting in trouble in 8th grade.
And I would do that more and more until I was their favorite person in the world.
Sound familiar?
If I didn't like someone, I would pick up on what they didn't like, and I would do that more and more until I was their ultimate nightmare. So, over time, I developed custom personalities for different people. Now, what happens when all these people, who've all been experiencing a different version of David Wood, get together in the same room and start sharing stories about what David is like around them? I'll tell you what happens. They went around the room, and the same thing happened over and over again. A teacher would say, "Here's what David did in my class." And then half the people in the room would look at me, confused.
All I can think about are the frickin' PPP DSP leaks when he describes this. Because it's like exactly what PPP did, you know? And then the minute the leaks come out, and then everyone gets to see how his like DM personality was completely different than the way he talked live. It was a similar sort of attack.
David did that? David? Then someone else would describe something I did, good or bad, and half the people in the room would again turn and look at me like, "He did what? David?" Eventually, my grandma, who thought I was an angel because I acted like an angel around her, she locked her eyes on me and declared, "David sounds like a chameleon." Then, as they...
The psychopath stare. Mohammed, Hijab, the psychopath sees through your lies. Your worst day was me in 8th grade.
They continued sharing stories. They kept calling me chameleon, which didn't help them because it made me feel like a cool supervillain. But the damage was done. They figured out what I was doing. They figured out what I was. They realized I couldn't be trusted.
He shrank back as if to say, I've been found out.
Devastating little meeting. The vice principal
that?
gave me a choice. He said, "David, you can either stay here or you can transfer to another school."
Yeah, classic public school moment, just dumping him somewhere else. TTD, everybody.
"If you stay here, the next time I see you in this office, I'm going to expel you. If you transfer to another school, I won't tell them anything about you, and you can get a fresh start." I chose the fresh start. I switched schools, not because I was worried about being expelled, but because I wanted to get as far away from these people as possible. They had finally seen right through me, and they would have always been suspicious of everything I did, good or bad. So, why was that day about as close to traumatic as a day could get for me? Well, when you're able to manipulate the people around you, make them think what you want them to think, you feel powerful. You feel superior. The people around you are like puppets to you. You're the puppet master.
Usually I'm the puppet master in these situations. Yeah, same thing.
You're in control, and they don't even realize it. You're the mastermind. That feels good. But the moment they understand what you're doing, that feeling of power is instantly stripped away, leaving you exposed, naked, and defeated. Sound familiar, Mohammed Hijab? It's what you're going through right now. You built your life on a foundation of manipulation and deception. You dupe people into doing what you want. You dupe women into marrying you, and then you ruin their lives. You dupe your fellow Dawagandists into helping you manipulate and deceive everyone around you. You dupe your followers into thinking that you're doing this for Islam and not for yourself. Feels good being able to dupe so many people, doesn't it? But now you're being exposed. Your power is being stripped away. And you don't know what to do because you don't know any other way of living. So you're going to keep using the same manipulation tactics, the very tactics that got you into this mess. And the more your tactics fail, because people are catching on, the more desperate and confused and miserable you're going to become. I know, because I didn't stop manipulating people when I got exposed in 8th grade. I was just more careful about it. I sharpened my skills. I became an even worse person.
That stare. It's just so funny that this guy's just... It's like in President Sunday, you know how Nick released the extra video where President Sunday's like, if she dies, she dies. It would be like if President Sunday intentionally kept that in the video to be like, look, dude, look, Destiny, I'm a psycho just like you. Here's the proof. Plays video of him being a psycho. And let me tell you, you're fucked. And you haven't even learned the lessons I learned in 8th grade, dude.
In order to actually change, you need a completely different way of thinking. Psychologically, Hijab, you view yourself as the center of the universe. You're the star, and you want everyone else revolving around you like planets. Everything you do is meant to get more people revolving around you. When people break away from you and escape, you become enraged, and you try to force them back into orbit. In your mind, people refusing to do what you want is the problem. But that's not the real problem. People shouldn't do what you want because you're a narcissistic, lying control freak.
Let's go.
The real problem is how you view people. Human beings are created in the image of God. They're not supposed to revolve around you. You have to stop viewing them as planets revolving around you, the star, and start viewing them as other stars in a shared galaxy. You can view material objects, phones, computers, cars.
I'm pretty sure Muslims don't believe in space, dude. That's like... I think there is actually some hadiths that talk about like why... I don't know. It's a whole other thing.
As satellites revolving around you. But you have to stop viewing people that way. It won't be easy. I can tell you from experience, I had to be broken.
Broken. We have to break Mohammed Hijab.
And it is hard to break me. But as awful as it was being broken, it's exactly what I needed. It wasn't just good for everyone around me. It was good for me. I needed a real fresh start, not just a new school with new victims. So, as you're sitting there panicking about what to do, flailing about, desperately trying to get your people back under your control, just know that what's happening right now, no matter how painful it may seem...
I'm helping you, Mohammed. It's funny he's coming at this from the I'm helping you. He's like, well, look, these guys have been in a feud for like 7 years. Again, it'd be like if President Sunday was like, look, man, I'm a psycho, you're a psycho, let me help you, bro, let me save you. And it's like, again, David Wood's a great apologist. He makes good videos and everything. I'm not really trying to attack him. It's just funny that he can come at this video from the most crazy angle and still come out looking better because, like I said, this is recent. This is just 2 days ago, and we're going to look at the whole story leading up to this about what had to have happened to make him look like the good guy from this.
It's for your own good.
I'm gonna buck break you for your own good, Mohammed, with the psycho stare.
When all of your tactics have failed, and they will fail, when your bag of tricks is empty, man up and follow Jesus, the rightful center of the universe. Or you can keep bailing water from the sinking ship that is the SS Mohammed Hijab.
Let's go.
And see where that takes you.
So yeah, we end on the psycho stare, right? Now we go to the beginning of this, kind of the beginning of at least his, David Wood's relationship with him. So they had this debate here. This is back in 2018. Now, again, I'm not really going to talk about theology very much in all this because I do not feel qualified. But that, you know, and that fits with my message here, which is that this theology sector, which, again, we still need a name for this area. It can't just be the sector 2. I don't know. The quest for Jannah or something. But they had this debate. And obviously, like, as a Christian, I think David Wood won this. But generally, the view online, and maybe it's just because Mohammed Hijab has so many more subscribers, I think it's just because he has more presence, speaking presence. Let's be real. David Wood is good at making these little shorts that explain things and make very intellectual arguments, but Mohammed Hijab is a good public speaker, okay? It's sort of like how I've spoken before about the generation of the sector, how it like goes all the way back to the atheist Christian debates back in like the 2010s. And let's be real, like the atheists won that round of debates, and it wasn't because it was like a true exhaustive debate of the issues. It was because nobody really knew what they were talking about. It was all kind of feels, and the atheists had just a little bit more preparation. So I don't feel bad saying that Mohammed Hijab probably won this debate, at least amongst the people that were there. I'll play a little segment of it. And this is kind of where the feud really set off, because they'd already kind of been fighting back and forth because, you know, there had been events at the Speaker's Corner in London. There's a particular, I think it was an ex-Muslim woman who was actually attacked there, and then David Wood helped her out. And so, like, it had been escalating for a while, but this was Mohammed Hijab's peak. This was his big day, where he finally got face-to-face with David Wood, and at least in the view at the time, came out with the W.
Seriously, what's going on here? 20 years of attacking Islam. 20 years of attacking Islam. 99% of your content is anti-Islam, and all of those things you brought today were dismissed in 4 minutes. You couldn't handle the questioning. I gave you 4.
Four reasons.
I gave you 4 questions. I did the service, sir, of answering all of your questions. You didn't even answer one of mine. How dare you? How dare you? What is this? Seriously. And the reason why, once again, I apologize to all the other Christians here. Why? This man has made mockumentaries against Islam. He's attacked Muslims, aggravated Muslims. We know his story. He's not any regular Christian, ladies and gentlemen. The Quran says, "Laysu sawa'a." The Christians are not all the same. If it was James White, I would have shown him the utmost respect. If it was William Lane Craig, I would have shown him the utmost respect. If it was any of those guys, I would have showed them the utmost respect. But this man, no. Read the Bible. I will teach you the Bible today.
Mr. Hijab, please stay on topic.
Okay, no problem.
Again, that's like say something you're not supposed to a jury. Please forget that. It doesn't matter. You still get the point.
I've got 1 minute and a half, and I'm pretty much done. I can't believe it. Should I give it as a charity?
Why are people so anti-Muslim? What did we do? Yeah, exactly, man. It's so funny.
To him?
I wonder why.
I'll give it as a charity to you. Have a minute and a half charity from a Muslim to you. Go ahead.
So again, like I said, I'm not going to really tell you who won theologically this debate, but at least as far as presentation, the bread and circuses of it, Hijab had better presence and came out here a lot more confident. And so it kind of was perceived by a lot of people in the middle as a Hijab W, even if I think that if you really boiled it down, like there's a cut of this, there's a pro-Christian cut of this that kind of displays why more there's a case that Woods won. I'm not going to get into that, but this sort of was traumatic to James Woods. I think that he kind of pointed out why it might be in his video about how he's a psychopath and how it's sort of a narcissistic injury, and he at least James Woods is honest about his issues, and he obviously Mohammed Hijab is also that, but probably wouldn't admit it. And it's kind of the beginning of the story about why he comes out so friggin' psychopath stare. So they have this debate. After that, here's some of the great debates that are occurring at the Speaker's Corner in London. This is years ago. And this is the sort of stuff Mohammed Hijab is going there and debating the real issues of why pedophilia and incest is okay.
You look just...
Not James Woods, David Wood. Sorry. I always get the Woods. There's like 3 Woods,
at the Quran, you will get the indication that you can have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. The reason why it's haram to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old is not found in the Quran at all. If you just read the Quran, it is halal, it would be halal to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. Chapter 65, verse 4. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us who you can divorce and who you cannot divorce. And then he says, وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ, and the ones who had never been pubescent before. And by the way, this is very important, yeah? I want all Muslims to be aware of this. The reason why we don't have sexual intercourse with 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds or whatever is not because of puberty. Wait a minute, what did you say? It's not because of puberty, because that verse in the Quran actually says lam yahid. They never had puberty before. You can't go around that. The Quran doesn't say anywhere in the Quran that the woman has to be pubescent. I dare you to find one verse in the Quran where it says you're not allowed to marry someone based on harm, or you're not allowed to have sexual intercourse based on harm, or you're not allowed to marry someone based on puberty. Get me one verse in the Quran which says the woman has to be pubescent. No. You know, in the Quran it says حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أُمَّهَاتُكُمْ. It says you're not allowed to marry your mum. It says you're not allowed to marry your sister or your auntie. Where does it say you're not allowed to marry a prepubescent? I'm looking for one verse that you can say, you pinpoint.
This guy's on the front lines of defending prepubescent marriage.
And say this is where it says prepubescent marriage or whatever is not allowed. So if you're Quran alone, you're steered towards pedophilia, and a severe type of pedophilia, wife abuse.
And you may be thinking, why wasn't this the end? Like, okay, this is from 3 years ago, and these clips are from before that. How does this not just immediately taint the guy? And you got to understand, there's certain, and it's not just Muslims who do this, but Muslims are very formal about it. It's something that is actually talked about in the hadiths, and is a sort of tactic they've used for a long time, which is So a lot of the hadith like argumentation structure is derived from the Talmud. Now that may sound weird, right? The Talmud is from like the 6th, 7th century, around the time Islam emerges, and it's Jewish, right? What connection could it have? Well, there's this type of argumentation. Have you ever seen online people talk about like, oh, that's Talmudic argumentation? What it specifically is it refuses to assert any position uniformly and objectively, but rather adapts the position using different sources within the same hadith structure, or originally in the Talmud, to befit the argument. Okay, and this is a long-winded way of saying that when this guy would go on podcasts, like big platforms, because he did. I mean, this guy did debates on Piers. This guy went on big podcasts. He wouldn't be saying shit like this. Okay. He would either avoid it or he would cite something else that's a little more vague. That's kind of why this video is interesting, because it's him actually at Speaker's Corner talking to people. And look, most of the audience is also Muslim themselves. He's talking to like reformist Muslims, okay? And that's why he's like taking the ultra-conservative position. And so that's kind of why this alone that didn't destroy him. VTubers walked so this man could run. I don't know. This guy it's kind of pre-VTuber, but yeah, they're kind of it's a chicken or the egg,
A severe type of wife abuse.
But when we say it, we are Islamophobic. Stay away from Islam.
So clips like this start to come out. The next big controversy that happened with this guy, and this was I think around 2020, is basically there's this guy Yasir Qadi who's part of Mohammed Hijab's like squad, right? I brought up before like how Ali Dawah is Hijab versus Dersha, which is good. There were Babylon Jews and so the Babylonian Talmud generally was like begun to be composed in the 6th century, and they say it usually wasn't finished till the 9th, but it's hard to get like good dates on that. We do know that it was coming together around that time, which is also when Muhammad would have been influenced by, assuming you think Muhammad even existed, which is a whole nother debate. But anyway, so around 2020, this guy, he's got his squad. Mohammed Hijab's got his gang squad. He's got his capos like Ali Dawah. He's got Yasir Qadi, who's like a very influential guy within that community. And basically there was a leak of emails where Yasir Qadi seemed to indicate that there was more than one Quran. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal for Muslims, because I brought this up before. I brought this up before with the Uthman Codex, how, you know, there were other Qurans. Ali supposedly had a Quran. There was a couple of them, and then he burned them all, and then came up with this one. But even after that, there are allegations of multiple Qurans, and this is a big deal, because when in Islam the Quran is this eternal word of God, it is like, even though it is somehow has all the same attributes of God while also not being anything like the Trinity. If you really think about it, it kind of breaks Tawhid, the way that they talk about the Quran. But the point is that you really need a big claim that Muslims make, especially street preacher type ones, in like Mohammed Hijab, is talk about how unchanging, how long, like how many sources there are for the Quran, how it's never changed and stuff. And so when you have these leaked emails, when one of their guys is pointing out the historical fact that there might have been more than one Quran, basically the sweep machine activates, right? And so this guy, Yasir Qadhi, does an interview with Mohammed Hijab. And this is one of those, you guys remember the flamenco interview where it became very clear after the fact that it was like a coordinated sweep job, where like Worski was there to try to pretend like they're grilling him, but in the end absolve him. We all remember that with the sector. This is the same thing. So Mohammed Hijab goes on an interview with this guy basically to look like he's grilling him, but really wash him. The problem is he fucks it up and ends up making Yasir Qadhi look way worse, because he ends up like straight up saying like there are multiple Qurans. It's so bad that the interview on Mohammed Hijab's channel itself removed 30 minutes of where he totally fucks up the sweep job here.
Qadhi is no stranger to controversy. Being the academic, he has sometimes ruffled
feathers.
And
I'm making these parallels in the sector because, like I said, this is a stealth drama sector, and the same rules, I think, apply. The lessons to be learned. I'm Dr. Killinger coming down here to teach these theology guys, not about theology, just about how the drama works.
This time, even worse than before. He said something now, again, that shook the ground or pulled the rug below the Dawa guy's feet. So much so that Mohammed Hijab took the drastic step of deleting the last 30 minutes of his interview from the point Yasir Qadhi started talking about, guess what? Quran preservation. This is your friendly neighborhood ex-Muslim, Abdullah Samir here.
And to be clear, this guy's also Mohammed Hijab A-log. I'm kind of going to introduce you to the three big ones, which were David Wood, as we already showed. He's the longest one, and who's also a psychopath, so he's like the most... He's the most get the kill shot. Then we have this guy who's an ex-Muslim, and then there's going to be a third guy who's the most lolcowy of all of them.
I'm exploring the topic of Islam and how it affects the lives of believers and disbelievers. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. Yasir had established a rapport with Mohammed Hijab. Hijab was giving him the chance to air some difficult questions and tackle them on his established platform.
Tackle them. So again, this is a coordinated sweep job. The idea here is for Mohammed Hijab to look like he's grilling him, and for them to reconcile at the end and show, all those emails that leaked that showed him saying stuff that's like categorically heresy in Islam wasn't really what he meant, right, guys?
Yasir Qadhi credibility and a safe space to discuss with someone friendly on his side while quashing the worst rumors and attacks that are coming up against him. It's a smart move. The last conversation that Hijab had with Yasir Qadhi, however, took an unexpected turn. It went into a direction he wasn't expecting and did not look good on Hijab. I think Qadhi doesn't care that much what anyone thinks, so he just said what he wanted. He's sort of untouchable and cares more about the truth than pleasing his audience. Or maybe he was just overconfident. Hijab asks a question about the Quran email leaks, which I discussed in my video, Yasir Qadhi Has Doubts in Islam. Hijab said Brother Imran, aka Dawah Man, had leaked some Quran preservation emails. And can you explain yourself about these emails? Do you consider the Hafs and Asim and so on munazzil, meaning revelation from Allah? Here is what Yasir Qadhi said.
So one of the brothers, he did something, again, unethical. He was expelled from the list, and the list was basically banned because of that stuff. Because of that, he couldn't refute to my argument, so he sent it to one of your Madkhalis in England. And so then, of course, this Madkhali gave it to the other one, and so obviously, everything, all whatever broke loose. But again, this was not something I brought up in public, and I would never bring it up in public. And I don't think it is wise to bring it up in public. Every single student of knowledge knows, who studies Ulum al-Quran, that the most difficult topics are ahruf al-qira'at, and the concept of ahruf and the reality of ahruf, and the relationship of the Uthmani Mus'haf with the ahruf, and the preservation of the ahruf. Is it 1, is it 3, is it 7, and the relationship of the qira'at to the
So when he says ahruf, he's talking about like the original like the original Quran, the Hafsa. Like, again, the whole issue here is the idea that the Quran actually hasn't been preserved perfectly and that there are multiple Qurans. And he's basically conceding that point here, which is exactly what the Hijab comes on here to try to sweep for him for.
ahruf. This is a topic that when you're the beginning student of knowledge, you're like, what is all of this going on here? When you go a little bit more, you learn to simply memorize what your teachers say and regurgitate it out, and you don't fully comprehend. When you do a deep dive is when things get very, very awkward and difficult. And this isn't new. This is from the time of the Sahaba. In the Sahih or the Hasan Hadith of Ubay bin Ka'b, the Hadith of the Ahruf. that when the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the issue of ahruf, and that there are different ahruf and whatnot, this is in the version of Muslim Imam Ahmad, Ubay ibn Ka'b says, authentic hadith, فَدَخَلَ فِي نَفْسِي شَكْ. In my heart, a doubt came that I hadn't had about Islam since the days of Jahiliyyah. This is not a joke, brothers and sisters. The issue of ahruf and qira'at caused confusion to somebody whom the Prophet ﷺ said, if you want to listen to the Quran directly, listen to Ubay. Ubay is not some even average Sahabi. He is the Qari of the Quran. He is the master. He is who he is. And he goes, فَدَخَلَ فِي نَفْسِي شَكْ. What is all of this stuff?
So he's just saying that this guy who, like, the Quran itself says is the master of the Quran is saying that there were multiple Qurans and that there's confusion here.
And the Prophet,
and this is like this is a big problem. Like, this is like, you can't say this and be Muslim. Like, you can't say that there are multiple Qurans and stuff. That's why hijab is supposed to be here to sweep. But this other guy doesn't give a fuck, and he's just like, yeah, this is what I think.
And then he goes, it all went away. Now, for the first time, I'm telling you here, what was the crisis? I mentioned it, referenced it, but I never explicitly said it. Why didn't I say it? Because it should not be said in public. But unfortunately, these brothers, because they released the email,
should not be said in public. And this gets back to the idea I was talking to you about, like, Talmudic argumentation, where these guys will take different positions in public and private, right? That's literally what he's acknowledging here. It's like, this issue, I acknowledge it, but I'd never talk about it in public because it's bad for Muslims.
So then I have to then get it. This was the issue. That the issue of ahruf and preservation and qira'at and relationships between them, these are very, very difficult issues. And the most advanced of our scholars, they're not quite fully certain how to solve all of the unanswered questions in there.
Now, Mohammed Hijab should have known about the Streisand effect. When Barbra Streisand tried to hide photos of the mansion in California, it drew further attention to it. Hijab, if you try to hide something, that just makes it go more viral. If the video is already mirrored on Yasir Qadhi's channel, what good would removing part of it from yours be? Do you really think that'll work? But I know what Hijab will say. We did this because we didn't want to confuse the masses. Muslims don't need to know about Quran preservation. It'll hurt their iman and cause more doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Yasir Qadhi said, it's not wise to discuss these issues in public. Better we keep it behind closed doors. There was even a bigger bombshell that came later.
And by the way, this is now a well-known open secret amongst many Muslim graduate students and academics around the world. And this is well-known. Traditional understandings of ahruf and qira'at cannot answer some of these pressing questions that are now being poked by our people outside of, by our academics, not our, by their academics outside of the faith tradition. You see, in a Muslim environment, there's always some respect that we have for the Quran. We should. In a Muslim environment, we'll press a little bit, and then we'll say, okay, khalas, sami'na wa ata'na. And that's great, alhamdulillah. When you go to academia, they don't have that red line. And they're going to just, you know, the famous story of the emperor with no clothes. They're going to just point out, no, that doesn't make any sense. Well, that's not true, and this and that. And they'll bring issues, which I'm not going to mention explicitly, that you know are true because they're in your own books. They're not inventing anything new. They'll bring you riwayat, and they'll bring you athar, and then you add to
this
that.
This is the equivalent of if in the Pedmenko sweep interview, when Worski was trying to, like, throw sand in the water, or he was trying to muddy the waters, right? That Pedmenko didn't go along with it at all. And was just like, yeah, I do watch Voice of Predator. It is all like that's the equivalent here. Is if Pedmenko did not try to defend himself at all and was just like, no, I am that bad, right?
That very well-known issues of, I don't even want to be explicit. And then you bring on top of that makhlutat, and then, and it's very clear to you and to every single very advanced student and specialist that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say. The standard narrative does not answer some very pressing questions. Okay, this is what I'm going to say.
Well-known secret among academics, huh? And did you catch that? He just said, Alhamdulillah, we poke a little and then we stop. Is he serious? He's saying it's good to be skeptical but not actually follow the evidence where it leads? Why not? Because it'll take you out of Islam? Because it'll destroy the narrative of the Quran being fully preserved? And then the final bombshell. Mohammed Hijab thought he was going to save the day with this question. But it so spectacularly backfired on him. It backfired so badly, like you cannot imagine. Hijab asks, if you had a blank mushaf, meaning a Quran, and write down with no interference what was revealed from Allah, would you write down what corresponds to the existing Quran we have? Yasir Qadhi interrupted him and didn't even let him finish the question.
Ask you one question.
So this is equivalent of when Worski asks Flamenco, he's like, so this boy soprano thing, it's not like it's not like, you know, like underage or anything. And then instead of Flamenco being like, I don't know, no, of course not. He just is like, yes, it was, and I liked it. That's like that's the equivalent of what's about to happen here.
Try and make this as specific as possible. I think if I were to give you a blank mushaf, yeah, and tell you to write what is munazzal verbatim from Allah into that mushaf with no human interference, would you write something which corresponds?
It's not an easy answer. It's not an easy yes or no. It is enough for the Muslim to believe that.
I think this should be an easy yes or no, though. Yes, I have to.
Okay, very, very well. So, yeah, Mohammed, after we get off this phone call, me and you, let's have a number of discussions. No problem. I'm very open with advanced students. But these issues should not look. It is kalamullah. What is going to be written? It is kalamullah.
What would you write?
Let's not. You're pushing me. And I'm saying it's not hikmah to, listen, I have a condition, like I said, everything I say is going to be factual. If I wanted to do tawdiyah and whatnot, I would do it right now in front of you. There is no need for tawdiyah. The Quran is the uncreated speech of Allah. The Quran is preserved. The Quran is known. The Quran is mutawatir. And alhamdulillah, all of the qira'at are the Quran. All of the qira'at are authentic. Alhamdulillah. Leave it at that, ya akhi. Beyond this, honestly, I have no problem. We'll have discussions or take my class.
Beyond this, no, please do not actually make me answer the question.
But beyond this requires background information. It is enough for the Muslim to know that the Quran is the speech of Allah that has been protected, and what we recite is the kalam of Allah. That is enough for the Muslim to know.
I appreciate what you're saying, but
There you have it, folks. The Quran is the speech of Allah. It's preserved because it says it is. End of story. Stop asking questions. Don't worry about it. Just do your 5 times prayers and carry on. You know, it's even worse than this.
Which is funny because the 5 times prayers is not actually in the Quran, it's in the Hadiths.
Now distancing himself from what Yasir Qadi said. So much for supporting his guest, his scholarly guest. He issued a statement that included, if Dr. Qadi holds an opinion that opposes the ijma, consensus, of the ummah, or makes anti-normative claims, he will be refuted. Can you imagine talking about your guest like that, an esteemed scholar?
I need to buy one of the low-income Palisades units. I really hope that they actually build those. I just hope that they do it right, in the sense that they don't have the state. There's a way to do that. That would actually be like nice apartments that are not they're not luxury, so they don't get bought up to hold value. They're not going to do it that way because they're retarded. But I don't know. Yeah, there's definitely investment opportunity there. I'll say that.
Slimy thing to do. To throw him under the bus to save yourself. At least you could have defended his brother. Not much of a friend behaving like this, if you ask me. Seems like if you want to sell Islam, you have to hide all these defects. Selling a used car would be easier than selling Islam to people because it has.
So yeah, this is A-log number 2, and this whole thing really hurt his image within the larger Muslim community, obviously, because he accidentally ended up blowing the sweep interview and made everyone look worse. And so then eventually, finally, we have, this was about 4 years ago, this is 2021. This is Mohammed Hijab is 4 things, an hour and 40 minutes from this guy, apostate prophet, who's another one. Just moved to a small town. That's true. That's one way to do it. The problem is to kind of afford and work on a self-sufficient property now in a good rural area that's also politically and racially stable requires a lot of upfront capital. And to get that money to begin with, unless you come from a rich family, you do have to kind of be in a city for a little while to make the money to get out. It's kind of weird how that works, but that's a conversation for another day. So most of this video, this apostate prophet guy, he had a feud with Mohammed Hijab for a while. They went back and forth. This is actually where this whole saga comes from, where Mohammed Hijab randomly says that he wants to suck your wife's tit to make her mahram. What kind of mannerisms are these? Shame on you, Muhammad. Why is it wrong? He believes it is halal. So see, the schizo tweet saying that he wants to suck apostate prophet, and his cope for this is just a perfect sector cope, where he's just it was the pills, bro. I was on my leg, bro, my back, bro. I was on this pills, and they made me go sicko mode, dude. And so this was part of this whole feud here. Most of this video is theological, just pointing out some of the crazy shit he said and why he's wrong. Again, not going to cover that. I mean, I'm not an expert on it. All I want is the drama part, which is this disturbing behavior. And this video was actually effective. This video essentially made it so that Mohammed Hijab couldn't even go to speaker's corner anymore. He was getting harassed out because they would bring up all this stuff. And now he kind of fled to the internet. And so now the only times he comes up are when he gets high profile political interviews with Piers. And I will go over the Dershowitz one. That one is really funny. And kind of his own internal community, his capos, right?
Mohammed Hijab's disturbing personality. Since he's so bad at defending Islam, and maybe he has a lot of frustrations, he often gets very angry and then says very vile, very stupid, unbelievable things. So before we get to the final part of this analysis, I want to talk about Mohammed Hijab's behavior toward others in depth. This will give you a little bit of a deeper insight into Mohammed Hijab's personality, but also into the collective Muslim morality. This will be a bit disturbing. So if you have kids with you, I don't know why you have them with
children in the audience, please close your ears.
you. It's maybe a good idea to
watching the end of Mohammed Hijab with their kid. They're so autistic sometimes.
Send them away right now.
Well, if you're trying to go move to somewhere a long-term property, it's not going to be in California.
Are they gone? Okay, as mentioned previously, Mohammed Hijab told me to commit suicide and then shortly after deleted those tweets. When called out on this by others and by me, he asked what is wrong with suicide and encouraging suicide under a nihilistic or utilitarian worldview. Now, first off, utilitarianism implies that what is pleasurable or beneficial to people or to most people is good. How the hell could you conclude that committing suicide and encouraging people to commit suicide is not bad?
Now, I will okay. I think what he was going for is he's going for the classic, like, anti-materialist argument of, like, oh, you're an atheist, prove it, kill yourself, like that kind of thing. But he's just so bad at saying it. And also he's, like, saying it at a direct rival who he has a theological dispute with, so it just doesn't look good.
Under that worldview. What the hell? I mean... But I will get to his understanding of philosophy and utilitarianism, which he can't even pronounce correctly, in a little bit.
On utilitarianism...
A series of extremely important philosophers have gone through the problem of most philosophers, one of Aristotle, have in common the will to live, for example. When people commit suicide, mostly because they struggle with mental illness, or because they commit suicide, that they should jump off a high, even find it stupid, implied not see a problem with being killed, for example. Funnily enough, when I called him out on the whole suicide thing, he published a video in which he explained that he wasn't angry or anything, but he only
totally not mad, bro. Kill yourself.
Wanted to test my consistency.
It was a philosophical suicide.
By telling me to commit suicide. And that is why he quickly posted and then deleted those tweets. To point out that I will be offended by him telling me to commit suicide, and that I'm therefore a hypocrite. There is just a giant genius master plan behind everything that Mohammed Hijab does. He would never make a mistake.
This is a quick response. I don't want to spend much time on this individual, but it's a quick response to a person who calls himself the apostate prophet AP. This apos individual is a vile creature. So I wanted to test whether he believes in moral subjectivism or relativism. Because sometimes I put something on Twitter and then delete it. And they think, oh, he's deleting it because he said something out of impulse and now he's deleting it. No, there's a method behind the madness. To be able to show you...
I was merely pretending to spurg the fuck out. It was all a philosophical scheme, dude. It was a hypothetical, it was a propositional suicide.
The hypocrisy of these individuals. I said to Apus, if I were you, I'd rather die from the cowardliness that I have, the pain of a coward, than continue, or something to this effect.
I just love the chapters. It's just like, suicide encouragement, disgusting behavior, golden shower and incest, insurance of logic, sexual harassment, bestiality.
So go and jump off a building, go and kill yourself.
That doesn't even make sense, and he's lying about why he posted those tweets and deleted them. He simply got angry because I was calling him a coward, which is why he angrily posted that and then immediately...
You know what this is? This is like when Teddy Feezer says it's a tactical spurg out. Where he's like, I spurged out now because it was actually to prevent a larger...
He deleted it. And although he claimed that that was just to test my consistency, he later went back and deleted every related comment. And then he even went back and deleted this explanation video, which was supposed to explain why he did this giant master plan. That clearly doesn't look like he had a genius plan behind this. He made a mistake. He was angry. He was impulsive. But it's very hard for Mohammed Hijab to admit his own mistakes. If it wasn't a mistake, then I will have to say Mohammed Hijab is very stupid for not understanding nihilism, utilitarianism, and...
Failed. It's like the timeline for Rudyard, What If Alt Hist, Ubersoy, who has his own issues, but he made like a timeline of like what if alt Hists descend into schizophrenia. And those videos, one of these days, because, okay, so the what if all his schizo videos, a 12 hours life story thing, there's only one source of that on YouTube I've been able to, because he scrubbed it, and it's Harmful Opinions unlisted reaction to it. I kind of want to do a dramatic reading of it to say that it's my own work, and then fight the copyright claim so that there is a source of it. The problem is that would require me to read 12 hours of something. But it would mean that there's finally a record, a public record, because then after I win the copyright complaint, it means it's there. It can't be taken down.
Suicide. If it was a mistake, then he is a liar when he says that it was a great plan, a strategy. In any case, Mohammed Hijab is either a liar or an idiot. After the whole suicide thing, when I mocked him for refusing to have a fair debate with me, he also appeared in the live chat of my stream with David Wood and made a series of very strange comments. Let me read. You two can play with each other. Get on your knees for David Wood. Gimp. David Wood can give you a golden shower. Go ahead and give David Wood what he wants.
This guy's not supposed to drink. Wait, so he's taking pills. Isn't that intoxicating? I don't even...
Wink. Let David Wood give you a golden shower. Gimp. Get on your knees for your master, boy. You can suck that. Golden showered from your master. I know you need a slave master. Golden shower. Gimp. Get on your knees for your master. Let him slap your face, you fiend. I mean, what the hell, man?
This individual, this man has real problems.
This only shows again what kind of weird stuff is going on in Mohammed Hijab's head. Why the hell is he telling David Wood and me to urinate on each other, to wear a bondage suit and to be a gimp, to get on my knees and to suck? It disturbs me to even pronounce this. Mostly, but not only out of respect.
You don't need a progressive version of Islam to allow homosexual harems. You could actually... That's a whole nother topic, man. No, they could be traditionalists and still have that.
For David Wood's worldview and morals. Honestly, I wasn't even aware of the term gimp, but Mohammed Hijab, in the name of Islamic apologetics, taught me that.
Yes.
Allahu Akbar and shit.
Yeah, I've been enlightened.
In the video that he published and later took down, he also explained that telling us to give each other a golden shower was not said out of anger and insanity, no, it was said to test my moral consistency.
Another thing...
Okay, so again, me clearly having like a drunk or high spurred out in the chat saying that you should piss on each other, it was actually a 10 billion IQ rhetorical ploy. Again, just like how it was propositional suicide, it's propositional piss play, bro. And actually, you failed my high IQ rhetorical test. Islam is the truth.
I was talking about homosexuality. I said, how about you and David Wood get involved in some kind of sexual activity? How about you get on your knees? Didn't like that. But wait a minute, what's the problem? Homosexuality should be fine. Now, you might think this is a very crude approach, and I would agree with you, and it's very questionable, but
you might think that I'm a retarded spurg, and I'd agree with you, but hear me out, guys.
Have a method behind the madness, and you need to understand what the method is.
Wow, what a genius. That is a blatant lie.
This guy is the Sun Tzu of apologetics. Tells guys to piss on each other, wins argument.
Fortunately, because in the same video, he also mentions how he told me in the past to engage in sexual activities with my sister and my mother, and he says that this was also just him testing my consistency.
So I wanted to test his theory. If you're honest about believing that incest is morally acceptable, there has to be some kind of foreplay, some kind of luring process between...
we're talking about the mechanics of it.
Relatives, there has to be a sexual drive. Yes.
What he forgot, however, is that back when he made those incest posts, he took them down afterward.
Yeah, and again, I took them down as part of my million IQ plan.
Explaining that his fellow Muslims advised him to calm down and take them down. So back then he did acknowledge that he was wrong. But now he's saying that he doesn't make and delete those tweets because he is angry or impulsive. No, it's because he has a genius master plan. Exactly. He knows exactly what he's doing all the time. By the way, when he says that he made those golden shower posts and the gay sex suggestions to test our...
gay sex suggestions? The tactical gay sex suggestion.
Consistency.
This is what was happening in the symposium of Aristotle, or in the Plato's Academy. They were walking through the gardens talking about the nature of justice, and suddenly Plato comes in and is like, well, why don't you piss on him, bro?
And what the hell is he actually talking about? David Wood is a Christian. We all know this. So he can't be testing David Wood's moral consistency here. All he would be doing is to get mockery in response and disgust from David Wood and his audience. He is clearly lying. He got impulsive, angry, and weird. He just made up the master plan idea to make himself look less neurotic. And this also shows his poor understanding and his ignorance of ethics. He thinks it is okay to tell me to engage in weird sexual fantasies with a man
Ignorance
and to
of
urinate
logic.
on each other, because there is nothing wrong with that in my worldview, which is why I shouldn't be offended.
Persip could be Ralph's budget. Well, he already is, isn't he? I mean, he just gets passed around between Ralph, PPP, and I guess Brian now.
Has Mohammed Hijab never heard of being gay? I'm sure he could ask his friend Daniel Hakikachu. He is very familiar with those topics.
LGBT, I call them rectum sex enthusiasts.
Just because I think it is not wrong for gay people to exist and to have interactions and relationships with each other, that does not mean that I myself will engage in those activities.
Big L, apostate prophet. He did. This guy did eventually convert. I think he converted to Orthodoxy or Eastern Rite. I don't know. He was like going between Byzantine Rite Catholic and Orthodox, and eventually, so he probably has a different view on this now. But
it doesn't even mean that I like that stuff. On the contrary, I feel uncomfortable about having sexual interactions and relations.
You don't need to say. Again, this is why we need the Dr. Killinger, the drama Dr. Killinger, to come in here and be like, guys, if you're gonna make a takedown video, make a fucking takedown video. Don't be reasonable. This guy's a gay piss fetishist. Okay, that's it.
Relationships with a man. But that is not because this is in my natural disposition which Allah gave to me. No.
You think it's wrong because deep down you have a morality which is, we would say, a predisposed morality. That incest is wrong, that suicide is wrong.
What? He honestly thinks that we need some predisposed morality from Allah to understand that killing ourselves is bad.
So I told this atheist, don't eat food. Starve. Starve to death. Didn't like that. But wait a minute. What is wrong with starving to death in an atheistic worldview? Deep down, they know that eating food is good.
This is a good impression.
And that starving to death is wrong, bad. And why do they know that? Because they have a predisposed morality from Allah, which is why they know that starving to death is bad.
And that another thing I was talking about homosexuality.
Many gay men also find it very undesirable to have sexual
let's
relationships.
Get right to sexual harassment here.
Hijab. But you know what? Mohammed Hijab doesn't understand.
Number 4. Top Mojo's Mohammed Hijab moments. Number 1. Mohammed Hijab wants to rape our wives.
This, and he sees no problem in also sexually harassing my wife and the wives of Abdullah Samir and Abdullah Gondal, 2 ex-Muslims, including making assertions about our sex lives, telling our wives to find different husbands, telling his followers that our Islamophobic wives secretly want to be raped by people like him, and even making a tweet in which he presents a
He's not beating the allegations, guys, that are about to come up here in a second.
written imagery of him and his proud fellow Muslims raping my wife. Yes, when these anti-Muslim attention whore Islamophobes need to get on their knees in intellectual submission before they are whipped by freedom of speech by the Twitter Muslims, and they reluctantly open their mouth in protestation to find that they have been defiled by truth. This is an actual tweet made by Mohammed Hijab in the middle of all the heat, and it displays an imagery of Muslims raping whore Islamophobes. He just packed it in such a way that he gets away with it. Now, let me remove all the X's here, which he added while probably also thinking of himself as so smart and creative, and read that again. When these whore Islamophobes need to get on their knees in submission before they are whipped by the Muslims, and they reluctantly open their mouth in protestation to find that they have been defiled. I don't know if I need to make it any clearer, but the imagery is one of Islamophobic whores.
Yeah, we get it, buddy. Okay, it's funny on its own.
Being forced orally, and how dare I rip up a piece of paper? Rape is fine, sexual harassment is fine, threats are fine, executing people for disbelieving is fine, expulsion is fine, but how dare I rip up the Quran? Is this how Muslims want to represent themselves? Is this really who they are?
The truth is this, is that the people now know what kind of vulgarities come out of this person's mouth. What kind of dirty individual this is.
So yeah, this video was actually successful. Mohammed Hijab did kind of get nuked after this. Like he was less part of like the open speakers corner, like Muslim community, and retreated online to his own little box, his Muslim box. But the most recent thing that's happened that's sort of been like destroyed him even online, even within his box. David Wood eats the Quran. Yeah, there's a couple funny ones. Yeah, I will play that one. Now we're getting to the point where I can go off a little bit with that. There's a third A-log here who's the most who's probably the most lolcow-y. Not this guy. This guy's this is a whole nother thing. And it's reasoned answers, this guy Thaddeus. He takes the position that Muhammad never even existed, and he has this like I don't think it's his wife, but this this person called Too Many Marys, who wears a burqa and hijab to hide her identity, but she's not Muslim. And she also like adds filth. It's very lolcow-y, the whole thing. But all of these guys are just like celebrating because of these allegations we're about to go over. Where basically, yeah, I will pull up the Dershowitz debate. Don't worry. But this is short.
And you seem to think that we can't escalate.
This is the front lines of the war against Mohammed Hijab that's been on. Look, 4 years ago. Look, we got our characters here, right? We've got our common characters.
And you seem to think that we can't escalate. Are you serious?
We can't escalate. The war has changed.
I'm an escalator. Put me in a mall because
I'm an escalator. The war has changed. It's like the Herman Khan escalation chart. We're now on to eating the Quran.
I'm an escalator, dude. that's what I do. I just wait for you guys. But look, my goodness, what is this? Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness, look. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's a little light there. Ah, look at that. Surat al-Fatiha. You guys see Surat al-Fatiha here? Surat al-Fatiha, man.
Yeah.
John, do you really think we can't escalate? Do you? My goodness. Do you really think that you want to go this route? You think? Oh, he
warned him. Now we get this video where he's like, "I'm a psychopath," telling you how to do it, and this was his warning 4 years ago. I will eat the Quran.
He made Islamicize me. He made the boom boom room, dude. I will buy the domain pissonthequran.com if you keep going down this road.
I will escalate. I will buy pissonthequran.com.
Yeah, and every single thing.
Well, the brown guy is a former Muslim, so I think that's why he's sort of just like.
It happens. Every single thing that happens, I will say this is because this is Mohammed Hijab. He's putting us in this direction. Hey, Mohammed, you like to spit, right? There goes Surat al-Fatiha. Want to keep playing with me, dude? Next time I'll actually swallow the surah, and you know where that'll go in 2 days. You know where that'll be in 2 days. You want to go this route? And you Mohammed Hijab fans who are watching this right now, I don't want you to. Whatever you do, I order you not to remember that the next time you're reciting Surat al-Fatiha during your prayers. I order you not to recall me chewing up and spitting out your surah. I order you.
How can people say this isn't a stealth drama sector? He's eating the Quran saying, you did this Hijab on like a live stream.
Don't do it. Don't remember that every single time. You really want to go Hijab? Because here's the thing. Hijab, you and your fans, you think like little kids. You think like adolescents. Oh, we'll make fun of them. Oh, we'll make fun of them.
He's literally like, war has changed. Do you think you could just make fun of me? Well, I'm going to eat the Quran.
Right? I think like Lex Luthor on crystal meth, okay?
I am Lex Luthor on meth, for Christ.
You don't want to, come on, you don't want to mess with me. You don't want to mess with me, dude.
Kino, absolute Kino.
What I'd like this to be is a civilized debate between two people with very strong opinions about this.
And so this was like the biggest platform he's had in a while, because like I said, after the like destruction video, he was kind of he's kind of marginalized out of like the theology type stuff. But obviously this is political, and yeah, this is like there's like whoever wins here, we win because. But I mean, I already just explained why I really don't like Alan Dershowitz last stream, and then obviously we have Mohammed Hijab here.
Wherever we see suffering, wherever we see death and destruction, assault, sexual assault, we see Dershowitz to the rescue, the former defense attorney of Jeffrey Epstein.
Mohammed, attacking a lawyer, defending people.
Yes, very good sector tactic here, Hijab. I got to hand it to you. Just opening statement, you're a pedophile.
Is a stupid argument.
Looking at me when I'm speaking to you.
What's this got to do with Israel?
This shows you the bias.
What's this got to do with Israel?
The bias in the coverage.
You're talking complete bullshit.
Should be arrested without charge if you're held for security reasons.
Tell you what, let me ask the question.
Sure, go ahead.
You guys try and debate.
And stuff like this is why I said, like in the David Wood debate, I do think that the perception was that Hijab won because he is like he's kind of good at this sort of IBS type stuff, even if the positions aren't really that great. And so putting him in this environment where he doesn't even really have to defend Islam, like honestly, if Hijab was smart, he would move more into politics, which I guess he's already doing. Because in politics, he's not saddled with all the like illogic and just problems with Islam, right? It's really easy to tear it down when you like learn all the hadiths and stuff. Whereas if he just takes like a vaguely pro-Palestine political position, it's a lot easier for him to just deploy all the sector tactics and muddle through.
Why is this uncomfortable?
It's nothing to do with the debate. Why are you doing this, Mohammed?
Why not?
Because it's pointless.
Why are you doing this? Has nothing to do with the debate. Why are you doing this? Why not?
You didn't want to do a debate.
I guess this is going to be the one part of the one segment where Mohammed looks good, because everything else I've shown he looks terrible, and we haven't even gotten to the most recent thing that led David Wood to make the psychopath video. But Weeaboo is right that this is pretty entertaining. I've seen this before.
What are you going to do it?
What's wrong with you? Are you not looking at me again? You're crying. Are you crying?
No tears in my eyes. Is there any point in considering this? The events of the past year have shattered stability in the Middle East. Israel's war on Hamas, provoked by the atrocities of October the 7th, have led to the deaths of tens of thousands.
First of all, I would like to say that wherever we see...
So first of all, he goes full sector, like Dershowitz on Iran, and then Hijab's like, all right, introduction, you're a pedophile.
First of all, I would like to say that wherever we see suffering, wherever we see death and destruction, especially of young people, assault, sexual assault, we see Dershowitz to the rescue, the former defense attorney of Jeffrey Epstein, a man himself accused of rape.
I knew we would get to that.
Just chapter 1. You're a pedophile.
Permission to interrupt me. I didn't give you permission to interrupt me.
I didn't give you permission to interrupt me. Oh boy. Yeah, I hate to say it, but this is gonna be the only segment today where Hijab looks good, and it's just because it's just two pedophile defenders fighting over who's worse.
What I would say. I stayed quiet.
Hang on. Here's what I would say.
To the merits.
I didn't give you permission.
Attacking a lawyer defending people is a stupid argument.
Well, right? I'm not making an argument yet.
Wait, but you're just using
he totally should do this. Like, honestly, the only thing that could save him at this point, I think, is if he just goes full politics and he doesn't have to drop Islam, but just stop talking about it. Because, like, the allegations we're going to get to about him taking literally just like tricking a woman into being a prostitute. It's crazy. It's over for him as far as like politics, Islamic stuff, and even in politics, that's always going to get brought up from now on. But I don't know. Like Tate gets away with it, I guess.
I'm not making an argument. Attack straight off the top.
Has he got leverage on you? Is that
no, he's a brilliant.
You moderators like, wait, what are you talking about? That's irrelevant to the debate. And then John's immediately like, oh, he's got you. You're part of the network.
Well, he's got leverage on you.
He's a brilliant lawyer.
Are you saying that because he's got leverage on you?
I met Ghislaine Maxwell for 5 minutes at a book launch.
You look very happy with it.
Why didn't you just admit that? Piers, what are you doing? Why would you say that? No one made you say that.
Nothing about her at the time. Other than she was the daughter of the man that...
We're talking about the biggest sexual scandal in the last 100 years.
I never met Jeffrey Epstein or ever knew him. Alan Dershowitz was wrongly accused of various things in relation to Jeffrey Epstein.
How do you know it's wrongly?
Because they've all been...
Why are you defending him?
They all turned out to be nonsense. He won a court case about it.
Why are you looking at me when I'm speaking to you?
Well, I can turn to you, but there were 3 of us involved in it.
What thing is just like you, boy. You're a pedophile too.
Yeah, you're speaking to me. So
okay, let me make things clear. Yeah. I never met Jeffrey Epstein. I met Ghislaine Maxwell for 5 minutes.
You look very happy in that picture.
Okay, if you want to use that as an ad hominem attack,
why are you defending him?
Hang on, a picture taken in 2013.
He spoke for 3 minutes. I spoke for 20 seconds.
I'm defending him because your first attack on him is to attack him as a lawyer because he defends bad people.
That's fine.
Here's a little secret for you, Mohammed. All lawyers do that.
No, but hold on. We're not talking about bad people. We're talking about... Excuse me. You've had enough speaking. I'm talking about a person who, after the fact, said that he was proud to defend him after the allegations come out. You still want to... Do you condemn Dershowitz?
For what?
For defending Epstein.
I have defended,
and being proud of defending Epstein.
It's not for me to defend
I have defended some of the best people in the world.
Alan, you defend yourself.
No, why should he defend himself? I haven't even spoken for 20 seconds.
Alan can defend himself.
But let me speak for more than 20 seconds. I haven't made my point yet.
I helped to defend Bill Clinton. I've helped to defend some of the finest people in the world. And I've also helped to defend some
finest people in the world. Alan, what world are you living on that you think like any of those people are the finest people in the world?
He defended.
I never justified.
He was not proud of defending John Lennon in the same way as he announced that he was proud of defending Epstein.
I'm kind of glad that Hijab went this direction because it's like, why are we even entertaining Dershowitz's authority on anything? Why are we even entertaining as this guy is like worthy of having a public opinion that anyone should listen to? It's just like, you are a pedophile defender. You have defended like Israel and stuff on purely the basis of your like co-ethnics before. I brought up before the Norman Finkelstein incident, you know. Again, this is going to be the only pro-hijab part of this segment, but I think this was the best way to do this.
This has got to do with the fact that this man, the credibility of this man, on the line, he defends Israel on the one hand, and on the other hand, he defends Epstein. I think the public should know this.
Do you want me to play the clips?
He's proud of it.
Mohammed, do you want me to play the clips of you that do the rounds on social media, saying some very inflammatory things? Do you want me to?
Why are you not looking at me?
Because I'm looking at the three of us.
How does Piers fall for that? Obviously, the reason why he keeps saying, why aren't you looking at me, is because now Piers is bringing up all the crazy shit Hijab has said. Like, don't get distracted. These guys, how can this boomer who's been doing these debates for 400 years, who's like the official guy, still fall for this shit?
See me and you
look at me man to man.
Fine.
Look at me man to man. Look at my eyes.
It's called an aesthetic thing for videos.
Okay, now the first thing I wanted to say was that this man's credibility is something which is shocking. That is we're even entertaining.
What do you base it on?
On the fact that he actually defended Epstein, and after the fact, he said he was proud of it. He was in Epstein's vicinity. And
then Piers lets this continue to be about Epstein based.
Judge in his vicinity. This is the kind of person that we're having on the show defending Israel. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing is, in the first interaction where me and you were talking about October the 7th, we spent about 3 or 4 minutes actually talking about sexual assault allegations, if you remember that. And actually here, what we have is Israeli soldiers like Mir from Unit 100, and that's on The Guardian, it's on Sky News, it's on all these kinds of platforms, coming out, and there's videographic evidence of him raping another man. I haven't heard condemnation from you, and I don't expect to hear it from him who defended Epstein. This shows you the bias in the coverage for a year, where we know the ICJ have said that there's a plausible genocide.
You haven't been watching my show.
I think I have.
No, you haven't.
Have you spoken about me?
You're talking complete bullshit.
Okay, tell me why.
That's a Hassan coat, where he's like, you haven't watched my show, you haven't watched 600 hours of content, no, I won't watch yours either, to like make the argument.
Right? Tell me why. Because I did condemn what you've just talked about in a previous debate.
Good. Right? Joshua, do you condemn it?
Yes, of course. I condemn any rape of anybody and any assault on anybody who's in captivity.
And you also incredible, amazing. I condemn all rape in all circumstances. Incredible.
Condemn the right of rape protest that took place in Israel.
The right of what?
And you acknowledge that there's a problem in Israel with this?
They will be investigated. They will be fully investigated. They will be court-martialed.
Do you acknowledge that there's a problem in Israeli
society? If anybody is convicted of that, they deserve their punishment.
Do you acknowledge that there's a problem?
What about the problem with Hamas raping women?
I have no compunction. I have no compunction condemning Hamas for anything that they've done. You've said that. You've asked me before, and I've told you before. I have no moral scruple. Neither do the majority of the Muslim world. I tell you now. Anything.
Well, that's just not true. Again, it feels like the Talmudic thing where, I mean, we already saw clips before where he said it was okay. He literally said it was okay in like 3 of the clips we watched before. So this is like the Talmudic thing where your position changes based off the venue.
Hamas has done, we have condemned in the first instance. But we're not seeing the same level of coverage with Hamas as we are seeing with these people that are shoving rods up people's ass and raping people on videographic evidence. And you have 3,000 people, we talk about the hostages, you've got 3,000 people in essentially captivity, according to Human Rights Watch and B'Tselem, who are prisoners of war of Israel. And we're spending a fraction of the time speaking about them as compared to speaking about the hostages. This shows you the inherent bias.
There's no comparison. There's no comparison between innocent hostages. He just called me a pervert. He will be sued now.
Yeah,
Classic Dershowitz. It's like we're only 15 minutes into this debate and you're already like, stop talking or I'll sue you. Stop calling me names or I'll sue you. What a clown. How do you lose to this guy? This guy who makes videos in his car being like, yeah, me telling you to piss on me is a Socratic method, dude.
Why are you doing this, Mohammed?
Why not?
Because it's pointless. You make it.
No, Mormonism is Gnostic, but there might be. I have a friend who, similar to the friend who helps him with the hadiths of the day, who looks into the Mormon stuff. So we might get a Mormon thing.
Okay, ask your questions.
You might get a few clicks on it.
So what? It's not.
Ask your questions.
Let me be very clear. It's not pointless. He just called me a pervert. He will be sued now for defamation, and we will be able to resolve this in a court of law. I guarantee you that he will be sued.
I will take you to a venue where I have immense institutional leverage and power, and yes, because I can't fight you on my own terms here.
I understand that you are a pervert because you are acquainted with Jeffrey Epstein.
Has now withdrawn her
I've got my own defamation case. I know the law very well here.
I have my own defamation. You can tell what it's about. I'm pretty sure he sued one of the accusers over this other stuff.
Confuse me with somebody else, and calling me a pervert will result in a defamation lawsuit in an American court and in a British court. I assure you of that. Let's move on to Israel.
No, my friend, he's not Mormon. It's similar to the guy who helps you with the hadiths, who does it for apologetics against Islam. He does it for apologetics against Mormonism. How is it Gnostic? It's a long topic.
How do we move on to
resolve this in court? Let's move on to Israel.
It's really, is there any point continuing this?
Do you want to throw the towel?
No. What's the point?
I'm not throwing the towel. I mean, he kind of has by threatening to sue you. Because, Alan knows what he's doing. He's been doing these tactics forever. It's you threaten the defamation lawsuit to give the other guy pause for everything he says for the rest of the debate, right? It's suppressive.
What debate you were booked to do?
Do you want to throw the towel?
You were not booked to talk about this.
You want to
You were not booked to
Let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about Iran.
Let's talk about Iran.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Do you support Iran?
Okay, well, let me answer your question. Iran was attacked on April the 1st.
Now, let me explain what proportionality means, because you're missing the point. Proportionality doesn't require that a country that's attack back in proportion. Proportionality only means that if you're going to attack a mixed target that has civilians and combatants, the ratio of civilians to combatants must be proportional to the military value of the target. And that's what Israel has been trying to do. But Iran has killed thousands and thousands of Israeli and Jewish civilians over the years. So to defend somehow Iran and saying that they were innocent, even the people who were killed, in the embassy were combatants who were legitimately killed as combatants.
What's an acceptable ratio for you?
So Iran has no right of self-defense against that. Israel was completely entitled to kill. Let me finish. Israel was entitled to kill any combatant that was hiding in an embassy building.
Hold on. You've just conflated two things. You've spoken about the Argentinian case, which there is not actual an independent international investigation on. Number one, and then you've spoken about we speak about 1st of April. Was that a response to Argentina? It was not a response to Argentina.
You're a rapist. No, you're a rapist. No, my guy's raped you. It's like, this is why, I think this is the other reason why Piers and the establishment takes debates like this, is because when you take them from a guy like Hijab, when you take them from this side where within their own religion itself, rape, as a concept doesn't even exist, as far as it being a moral bad thing. It's just adultery. The worst that they would call it is adultery in certain contexts. It's good to put these guys next to each other from their view.
Argentina. When on the 1st of April, they bombed the Iranian embassy in Syria, they did not do so. They said, you have no knowledge of Palestine. Don't speak to me about Palestine and these issues. Jimmy Carter, former president of the United States, as you acknowledge, you've written it in your book, he says that you have no knowledge of the Palestine issue.
Oh, here we
Jimmy
go.
Carter
Terrorism.
sure, I don't necessarily have an antithetical view to Hezbollah. However, on this case, what I mean by that is I don't necessarily support them in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
How do you
categorize them?
I categorize Hezbollah in their response to Israel as justified in that response.
And in the response for Assad in Syria?
Clearly, yeah, well, you and I both know that I have an antithetical view. I don't think that they were on the right side of history. Then I do think they were acting in.
So they were terrorists then?
Yeah, the embassy thing. A lot of people didn't talk about that, but that was a big deal when they bombed the Iranian embassy in Syria. I talked to some people about that who were just like, oh, well, that's just no, that's a really big deal that they did that.
I mean, it depends on how. I think the word terrorism is a social construct.
What were they when they fought for Assad?
So obviously you don't want to say it like that, Hijab. You don't want to say terrorism is social construct. What I would say, here's a little bit a better way to put it, Hijab, is that terrorism is fully descriptive of the person assigning the title, not the person who's being assigned the title. What do I mean by that? I mean that when the United States categorizes a group as terrorist, they are saying more about themselves. And I'm not saying that in a negative or positive sense. They're just basically explicating who they deem enemies and who they deem to be using tactics that they don't like, rather than about the target itself. And the way you know this is about where if you try to get down to an objective definition of terrorism, either by the way of its targets or its motives, there's a ton of double standards by everyone who uses the term. And so really it's more just like a friend-enemy distinction that is being asserted. It's sort of like how the term racism doesn't have consistent definition. And so when someone calls someone else a racist, they're more signaling their own values than they are actually describing any values on the other side discreetly. It's the same thing with terrorist, is when you designate something like a terrorist group, you're actually not describing any discrete tactics, motives, or anything of that group. You are merely describing your own position on whatever geopolitical conflict has created that group. And so that's why even when I went over the Ethan Hassan debate, I kind of called them both out for piddling over whether Hezbollah are terrorists or not. I think Hezbollah, they're a private army. They're essentially a state actor who are looking out for their own interests, their own security interests, which are obviously the primary interest of any any like state entity or state-like entity, and that they will do whatever it takes to defend their security, including things that are obviously evil and immoral. The problem with the terrorism distinction is it doesn't bring any like objective morality into it. And the reason why is because states that are not based off any transcendental justification, like they used to be before the French Revolution, don't believe in an objective morality. And so if they were to say, oh, well, they're terrorists because they're evil, well, what is evil to that? To the United States? Like, the evil to the United States is just against the United States interests, like everyone else. The United States is not unique in that evaluation. And so when you bring like a moralistic element into the description, and you're coming from a position of not believing in objective morality, it's not very useful to me. And that's just like a long-winded way to say, I guess I kind of agree with the job here that terrorism, quote, is a social. I never say it that way though, because it's like a meme, right? It's just like a social construct, bro. It's like, well, no, Hezbollah is a real entity that does evil things where they attack civilians. Now, they do that because they feel like it is their existential interest to do so. That doesn't make it better. Like, I'm not saying that makes it better, but like that is why they're doing it. They're not irrational actors. That's the other thing, is whenever the other reason why you assign the term terrorist is to essentially assign like irrationality to the actor, that they're so extreme, they're a death cult, they're whatever. But that's not actually how state and state-like actors act. They're not irrational. They're doing what they're doing because they put their security above everything else, and there's usually a way to derive some kind of logic for why they think they do these things to survive.
Oppressive, and that's on the record. There's no doubt about it. You can call whatever you want. But
they're all the things that you would say Israel is.
When they were doing the thing with Bashar al-Assad. That is, of course, my view.
But they're only that thing when they're doing that. When they're attacking Israel, that's fine.
When they attacked Israel...
When they're attacking Arabs on behalf of Bashar al-Assad.
Well, yeah, and I mean, but Piers, you're pointing out why the term doesn't make sense here.
No, but that shows consistency.
No, hang on.
Doesn't that show consistency?
No.
Why not?
It doesn't show consistency.
It shows consistency.
The inconsistency is that you think that was bad, but when they're attacking Israel, that's fine.
Let's respond. On the 8th of October, you mentioned many times before in your interviews that they attacked Israel.
Yes.
They attacked Israel, right?
They did.
That's not true. They attacked the Sheba Farms, which is occupied territory.
Which Israel has claimed as its own since 1967.
Wait a minute, Israel occupied territory.
Which Israel has claimed as its own since 1967.
This shows your lack.
Yeah, no, Piers, the argument here is it doesn't matter whether legally it's their territory. They view it as an extension of their sovereignty, and a state will always defend its sovereignty as its most important asset, because that is like tied to its security. Like, this is why North Korea does what it does.
Lack of knowledge on the matter. It does.
Well, part of what I just said.
Again, the problem is these guys are commingling like very simple realist international relations with morals. And the problem is none of these states believe in objective morality. So like assigning good and evil to any of them, like they themselves would reject it. And so then you shouldn't be just surprised when all of them do things that would be like considered evil.
It's not true. They claimed it as their own.
When there is no like judge above the state, because like in a secular world where every state only exists by its own ability to enforce its power on earth, there is no higher court, there is no higher judge. There's nothing to even appeal to.
But hold on, this is occupied territory according to the UN, according to the US. It's occupied.
Yeah, no, Hijab is right in a legal sense. I agree with you. I'm just saying that what Piers should say as a counter is, well, they view it as part of their sovereignty, and Hijab might say, well, that's illegal, that's wrong, or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, that's a moral that's a moral argument though, and these are not like moral. Neither of these are believe in like an objective morality. They're not moral entities. They're just states trying to preserve their own sovereignty. Because Hezbollah, like I know, like Hezbollah isn't Lebanon, but it is a state-like actor. It essentially has sovereignty over parts of Lebanon.
I
just say Moss, maybe less so now, but
Israel have claimed it.
So what? They can claim. I can claim what I want. ISIS have made many claims.
So given Israel
define the borders, Israel doesn't respect.
Is that what?
Yeah, and not like no state actor would respect the borders if they thought that it was like against their own interest or like was a threat to their sovereignty. Again, I'm not saying like Israel's like morally correct here. I'm just saying that this is why it's hard to like commingle arguments of like international law and morals together. Like Israel does evil shit. Like I have no doubt. Like everybody here knows that, right?
We are meant to believe it.
Hezbollah has fired beyond the Sheba Farms.
Let me explain.
Hezbollah
The Sheba Farms,
Israeli cities.
Hold on.
Israel has
Dershowitz, I haven't finished yet. Dershowitz, I haven't finished yet. On the 8th of 8th of October. All
right, so this is probably the best like Hijab. I don't want to get. I've already gotten too into the weeds on the politics. Let's get to the actual most recent allegation, which is essentially what this comes down to. Is Hijab has this method. He has this modus operandi where he finds these Muslim reverts, these women who are raised in Islam and maybe started to fall away, and then coaxes them back, offering like stability and everything, that he's going to be their wife. He love bombs, very similar to what Vore did. But then what he does is he's like, I'm going to marry you. And then what he does is he meets up with you at a hotel, quote, marries you, which takes 2 seconds in Islam, which I think this guy actually plays clips about. And then has sex with them. And then the next day it's like, oh, well, it was a conditional marriage. It was mutah, which is like, so basically it's just a way to have like free sex with whoever you want under the guise of an Islamic marriage. And then you just ruin the reputation and everything of the woman afterwards. And because this woman was kind of outside of that framework, because she was actually raised within the Dawah community, she actually she didn't take it laying down after he did this and like went full scorched on him.
You know why? Because it doesn't help their brand. It doesn't bring in the hundreds and thousands, if not millions in donations. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep me and the others helping behind the scenes sincere in our efforts. Allahumma ameen. Behind Veils is not just a channel, it is a movement, a space for the unheard, the betrayed, and the silenced. And today, we bring forward one of the
I will get to Mutahar.
most troubling stories we've encountered, because the man at the center of it isn't just a figure in our ummah. He's a global personality who commands influence, wields scholarship. But here's the thing. When a man of influence hides behind false oaths, auto-deleting messages, wears a mask to a hotel, and tells a woman, you accepted this, after promising her love, family, and care, this isn't just about a failed marriage. It's about abuse. It's about deception under the guise of Islam. It's about the power dynamics in the realm of spirituality. It's about betrayal from someone who called himself her teacher.
So they actually have like recordings from her, and like there's like multiple independent verification that this person's real.
In specific, I had a lot of respect and trust in him because of how scholars are praising him worldwide, and obviously because of his position and his knowledge and all of that. I'm going to share this today, not because I want to, but because I have to. And I take an oath in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I'm only going to be sharing the truth. And my purpose is for the truth to prevail and for justice to be served. Islamically not obliged to, he said. It's not necessary to preserve their families and so on. And
yeah, I know, they're calling her Aisha, yeah.
He told me regardless of what could possibly happen, I'm going to preserve this family.
So he makes all these promises saying, I have all this money, I'm a big guy, I'll be able to like have a family with you. He like specifically says it's going to be a long-term thing.
Gradually, the new rules showed. He's not going to speak to my family ever because he's Islamically not obliged to, he said. It's not necessary. It's going to give us more freedom. And he worked on convincing me of that opinion, Islamic opinion. I actually didn't even have to let them know that we did go ahead with the marriage. And that way we're going to have more freedom. Then he told me, look, let's just book a flight and go out of the country and just forget about that. Let's just have a good, free life. And you're not going to have to explain yourself to anyone. Most of the marriages break because of the in-laws. Let's just not add more in-laws in the picture. After the nikah, Mohammed Hijab wanted a sex marriage. He wanted a hotel marriage.
See, hotel marriage.
Didn't stop.
That's the mutah thing where you go to the hotel and it's literally just prostitution under the guise of like a long-term marriage. And then obviously the problem is the woman has like no recourse afterwards because divorce is so easy in Islam, right? Especially under these contractual marriages, because even under like a regular marriage in Islam, you have to publicly announce it, but under this sort of like contractual marriage, you don't.
There's more to come. He told me, listen, just act like a girlfriend. We're going to have like a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. Don't worry, it's halal. We're married now. He wasn't asking about my rent, my provision. He never asked about those and never offered to pay for them. Then he went on a trip, a da'wah trip, and he told me that he was not ready to argue about my family situation. He said, don't worry, just delay it. We're going to talk about it when I come back. So we carried on. We had like interactions like a husband and wife. And I was waiting for him to come back in order for him to talk to my family and get their blessings. And I told them, my father is going to ask me now if we did go ahead with the marriage. I have to give him a reply. He told me, just lie. Delay it. Tell him we didn't go ahead with it yet. I was stuck because I can't talk to my father and tell him, well, the man I told you to blindly trust and sign a contract with him for marriage doesn't want to talk to you because he's Islamically
So
not
yeah,
obliged
massive
to.
red flags, but the way
Your
he gets
sister is just
around
going
it
to
is by
actions.
like saying that, oh, I'll provide for you, and also this is like Islamically okay.
Nice promises, speaking to my father and promising him many nice things, telling me that there is not gonna get nothing from that. No one is gonna have pity on you. Women will not, men will not. I can give any excuse. I can tell them I was sexually not satisfied. In fact, I don't even have to give any excuse whatsoever.
Yeah, this is what he told her. Basically told her if you after, like he said, the marriage wasn't going to happen, even though it technically did, and then because it was contractual, it ended. He said, if you like talk about this, I'm going to say that you were, literally this is what he said, that I'm going to say that you're like bad in bed and that you're a whore and all this stuff.
Whatsoever. I gave you a mahr. There were 2 witnesses. That's it. Done. It was sealed. I'm safe. I never, ever imagined these kind of actions would come from him. Ever. Anyone, but not him. So he followed a list of Islamic rulings, as he claims, and nothing of what he did was actually haram. It's Islamically all right to give false promises to a woman you intend to get married to.
Yeah, and he said that, remember?
You're Islamically not obliged to fulfill those promises. You are not obliged Islamically to speak to your in-laws. You don't even have to ask for their blessings after the nikah and congratulations. It's Islamically okay to live in a hotel. A husband can go to wherever he wants with his wife. He's not obliged to pay for anything. He's not obliged to provide because I didn't need provision. It's Islamically okay not to have kids. The Sahaba used to avoid having kids. It's Islamically okay to keep everything secret, to preserve the marriage, even if you are to show up in the hotel separately and come out from it separately. The shuyukh I reached out to them made me even more traumatized. Some of them said, he is right. All these things are halal, as long as the 4 pillars of nikah were met. You can't know what his intention is, but his intention is actually very clear. This is a no-string marriage. He said that with the intention of divorce. He articulated that. He encouraged others to go for these options. He openly and proudly said there is nothing wrong with marriage with the intention of divorce.
Well, the problem is that like Islam is not even fundamentalist because so much of the faith relies upon the hadiths. Like if we define fundamentalism as some kind of like to a Christian like sola scriptura type thing, that it's not even that. Like praying 5 times a day is not in the Quran. That's in the hadiths. And all this shit about how you have no responsibilities in the marriage and stuff is all in the hadiths and stuff. Now, a lot of Muslims will try to use that to say, oh, well, it's just hadith, bro. It's just hadith, the real Islam, the Quran only. But there's only one very small sect of Islam that only sees the Quran as binding for a reason. Because if it was just the Quran, there's almost no actual religion there.
And through deception, because actually a man is not obliged to Islamically fulfill his promises.
Yeah, so basically he owes her nothing. He can lie, he can do anything, and it's all haram. It's all halal, right? Now, there's one other part of this I want to play where she makes like a freaking death oath that's hilarious. That's just like, no wonder this ends up tearing him down, because this is like this is crazy.
In my life,
because her life is like ruined now. Because she had sex, essentially she's going to be seen as like used and all this stuff like that's really bad because she was tricked into this.
It's completely destroyed.
And she's in like the most conservative part of Islam that would not accept this.
Because of you.
They would accept all the things that hijab did, but not accept her like having done it's crazy.
I do ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be the judge. I am never going to forgive you. Every breath of time that I have gone through all these years because of you, in your falsehood, in your oppression, in your transgression, I do ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pay me back for that. I will never forgive you. I would like you to bring forward your evidence, and I want to challenge you to mubahala. Your sin is not a sin that has to be concealed. This is not something you did between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in hiding and you repented. This is not what you have done. This is something that you have doubled on. This is something you were proud of. This is something you spread. This is something you encouraged others to follow. This is something you continued with the McDonald's nikah.
McDonald's nikah.
This is something you have articulated based on Islamic texts and from our own religion. أقسم لك بالله يمينا يا محمد يا حجاب أقسم لك بالله يمينا والله, because I know that I'm talking about it is the truth. So I'm calling you out to these two things. Number one, I'm calling you out for mubahala. Come out. Come out. Give me just that mubahala, that dua. Give me just one dua and then disappear. If you are ready to do this, I would like to tell you something. I give you full permission to go ahead and file defamation case against me in the UK. 100%. You destroyed my life. I had da'wah projects. I was working with 10 sisters. I was doing my da'wah work. I was taking care of myself. I was ready to get married to a real man. Someone who's really going to be caring for me.
Out to Adi Dawa and had him take down a...
So then the last part of this is basically this guy got swept. He got basically Mohammed Hijab is a flaggant. Okay, so he had one of his capos flag this down.
Reaction video he had made of Sister Aisha for months. We reached out to Mohammed Hijab. After all,
yeah, no, I agree that there was a lot of red flags for her. Yeah, I know it refers to him officiating marriages. There's a couple clips I didn't play where he talks about that, how he can do a marriage in 2 seconds at McDonald's. There was obviously a lot of red flags here. The thing is, they're red flags from a Western, whether you're Christian or not, Christian-informed civilizational perspective because of the way Christian marriage works. Again, even if you're not Christian, the fact of the matter is the way we think about male-female relationships in the West is 100% informed by Christianity because it was the format for 1,000 years. So, but to a Muslim in this community where all of these things that she named are allowed, those aren't red flags. They're just what you do.
He should have the opportunity to defend himself and to respond to the allegations. When we brought the case to him, he didn't simply deny it. He quickly attacked. Rather than clarifying the situation or addressing the evidence respectfully, he immediately redirected attention to my own past, accusing me of possibly wronging my ex-wife, Dunya Shuaib, and claiming that I should be questioned instead. And then he quickly reached out to Adi Dawa and had him take down a reaction video he had made about my own case against Dunya, which was just another strike against the lack of integrity with Adi Dawa. This was clear retaliation, another attempt to silence me.
So yeah, he's a flaggant. And then it gets worse. As he tries to defend it, he, base Christian marriage in McDonald's ball pit. He makes AI voice. He makes an AI voice of her.
We published a video on the case against Mohammed Hijab. There was a response video published on a channel called False Accusations. There have been a lot of attacks.
And we've already seen false accusations get used before. We talked about this, that this is his response channel, that he tries to do a response without anyone seeing it.
False, misleading, and fabricated information that has been relayed from this channel. So it is imperative we take a closer look. This channel was created in November of 2023, just a few months after the divorce between Mohammed Hijab and Sister Aisha. If you look a little closer, you'll notice the handle of this channel is called False Accusations UK. Apparently, it was specifically created to address so-called false accusations within the UK.
Before we begin, let's make something clear. This channel is not affiliated with Mohammed Hijab, nor...
But it's literally him.
Are we based in the UK?
Interesting. So behind the obsession, the troubling story of a stalker, fixed video I made. He is definitively stating that he made the video.
Yeah, so then immediately accidentally admits that he made the video.
There is no room for ambiguity. It is clear-cut. Mohammed Hijab states that he made the video released on April 8th, a video that featured a cryptic AI narrator while referring to himself in third person so that he wouldn't have to deny the allegations and instead could lead the public down a path of deflection and diversion. But here's where it gets really interesting and deeply troubling. Just a few days back on April 26th, the same channel featuring the same AI narrator released a follow-up video just 1 hour after our release of the interview between Adi Dawa and Sister Aisha. except this time they quickly put emphasis that this channel is not affiliated with Mohammed Hijab.
This channel is not affiliated with Mohammed Hijab.
So how did this AI-backed channel get a private voice note that was sent only to Mohammed Hijab from Dr. Abu Aya? How did they get a voice note that was sent privately from Sheikh Mohammed Torana? But what could possibly be the motive? Why claim you created the first video, but then have the same to an anonymous mufti card that Hijab featured in the first video now relays an alleged confession by Sister Aisha?
So yeah, he makes an AI voice confession by this Aisha woman that he did mutah with, supposedly of her confessing that he didn't do anything and she's crazy or whatever.
This time, somehow, in the past few days, they magically captured her speaking to an anonymous mufti and confessing that she didn't actually marry Hijab.
So did you marry Hijab or not?
I didn't marry him, but if I told people this, they would think I'm crazy and so on.
Do you think this is fair on him and his family?
With all due respect to yourself, I can take my rights with my own hand.
Let's be clear, the speaker's distinctive accent makes it immediately evident that it is. There is no ambiguity. We've run this audio through advanced software designed to detect AI-generated voices, and as clearly shown on the screen, this recording doesn't match any of the indicators.
First off, as someone who has spoken at great lengths with Sister Aisha, this sounds nothing like her. It is clearly a desperate attempt to try and deceive the public. But let's not...
So yeah, this is like a classic low IQ narc thing that we've seen with like Anissa and with Boogie. I will say that Hijab's a little higher IQ. He is like a pretty good debater about certain things, just in a formalistic sense. So the next part is that he gets his like sheik, like the official guy who's supposed to be technically in charge of this community, of this mission or whatever, I guess you call it, apostolate, I don't know. But he blackmails him to defend him. It's crazy.
Witness will shake you, it will anger you, and it will leave you in shock. It is disturbing, it is raw, it is real. Repeatedly use Sheikh Torana in every video to somehow justify that Sister Aisha was not telling the truth and fabricated the story.
Well, Sheikh, this is the guy who he's been using to like
hiding behind his AI avatar and Anidawa repeatedly use Sheikh Torana in every video to somehow justify that Sister Aisha was not telling the truth and fabricated the story.
They also falsely claimed that Mohammed Tarawne was coerced into silence, but when Tarawne learned the truth, he apologized to Hijab.
First off, we never made a specific claim that Mohammed Tarawne was coerced into silence.
So what now? Was Tarawne wrong before, or is he lying now? Either way,
is he lying then, or was he lying now?
Input is void. He saw nothing. He knows nothing. Are we supposed to believe he was changing his stance?
In your words, he saw nothing, he knows nothing. You proposed a question by asking, are we supposed to believe that Sheikh Torana was suddenly intimidated into changing his stance? Yes, I know. I can already hear the ridiculing and mockery from both Mohammed Hijab and Anidawa.
Present a single piece of concrete evidence, just one.
What you are about to witness is something unprecedented. This is no longer just a scandal. This is now a criminal case.
Unfortunately, this is brother Mohammed Hijab. He started now blackmailing me. Telling me that blackmailing. Initially, he was saying, I will not do nothing. If you didn't stand against me, I will not do nothing. Instead of he said, I have run out of patience. And I will be taking an solicits by midnight tonight, all within bounds of Sharia and law. However, you have one final chance to set things up. By the midnight, you must do the following. Look at what he said. Send me a WhatsApp voice message acknowledging that you misrepresented the situation after hearing only one side, specifically the fabrication of evidence and testimonials, and apologize for the harm caused. But then the next point is inform the reporters the truth, retract your statement, and provide me with a screenshot as a proof. If you fail to do both, I will proceed accordingly without further warning in full compliance with Sharia and law. Phase 1 of the consequence will be set into.
So yeah, this like authority figure who previously had basically come down on him as like an official like law thing, now just suddenly changes his position, and here's a recording of him saying he blackmailed him, and it's come out. So like the last vestiges of his little sphere are falling apart. Now this is the third A-log I said we'd get to. This guy is probably the most lol-cally of all of them. He believes that like Muhammad didn't even exist, and also I mean, you'll see, he's a little weird.
Last few months, Mohammed Hijab has been embroiled in a sex abuse scandal.
This man, he got married to me for a day, he had intercourse with me, and he left.
Officially, he denies the accusation of tricking a woman, alias Aisha, into a secret sex-only marriage, or maybe officially he hasn't said anything. It's hard to say what counts as official when the story changes with every post.
Yeah.
First, it's, I will release a video in 30 to 60 minutes. Then the video shows up on a 0-subscriber channel called False Accusations. Then the channel posts a video claiming it has nothing to do with Hijab.
This channel is not affiliated with Mohammed Hijab, nor are we based in the UK.
Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Hijab is telling all his Dawah friends it's his channel and encouraging them to comment and spread the video. So who knows what the official story is? But regardless, the position of Hijab is clear. He never knew Aisha.
Hijab outright denied everything.
It is interesting that this guy's excuse always is that it was all a plot, that it was all a 6,000 IQ plan, that nothing's real. It's very Talmudic.
That was a mistake. That was a big mistake.
No, wait. He dropped that claim and said she was a stalker.
These allegations stem from a deeply obsessed individual whose erratic behavior included tracking down Hijab's family and persistently stalking him for years.
I'm sorry, I retract my statement.
Hold on. What about the second false accusations video? Didn't AI Hijab say it was a marriage and divorce, but not a big deal?
In Islam, sexual fulfillment is not just a permissible reason for divorce. It is a
Great position, dude.
legitimate one.
Some of those guys are just...
So yeah, again, and she said this in the original video. She said that Hijab said that if she came out publicly, he would defame her publicly, saying that she couldn't satisfy him. And then that's exactly what the response says. So he like connected like the full threat. Like he just did exactly what he threatened, and we're just it's like so low IQ. It's so stupid. Like why would you if you're trying to like come out with a response that's not you and make her look stupid? Wouldn't the thing you want to do is make a defamation that's not what she already claimed that you threat, so that you at least create some kind of distance?
And now Dean Responds has jumped to Hijab's aid, arguing that behind veils, the channel who broke the story deceptively didn't show Dean's brilliant conspiracy that Aisha is mentally ill.
The person who Mohammed Hijab apparently had misyard with was mentally ill, right? I sufficiently proved that she is mentally ill.
So I guess the claim is now that, yeah, Hijab abused her, but it's okay because she's unwell.
That was wrong. I mean, I can't justify it to myself.
By the way, the so-called evidence consisted of public tweets asking David Wood and Abdullah Samir for help, combined with a couple benign takes on random questions. I must ask, what is wrong with these sick dawah freaks?
I think there is a degree of self-aggrandizement.
It's hard to keep what story I'm supposed to believe straight in all the lies. But I think what I'm supposed to believe here is that Hijab never married Aisha, but even if he did, it wouldn't have been abusive.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So, what is your story then?
I'm a very small student of fitness.
Okay, let's continue. Hijab has admitted to this marriage so many times, I've lost track. First, there are the texts he sent to Aisha after his groomed sexual abuse by so-called marriage failed. Texts which he thought would never come to light thanks to having them set to auto-delete. In his anger, Hijab says he'll never come to light thanks to having them set to auto-delete.
Muhammad, I married you and respected a marriage for life. I asked you that and you said, yes, that's the aim. You married me for sex. You were desperate. Oh no. This is so bad.
Failed. Texts which he thought would never come to light thanks to having them.
We agreed you will leave the IDA to play out because you felt like a prostitute after agreeing to the hotel discretion agreement. There we go. The lesson is to be careful what you agree to. It's totally transactional. It's like, oh, you signed a bad contract. Divorce is halal, and I have given you a mahir, so I don't have anything to answer for anymore.
Set to auto-delete.
What kind of question is this? Do you want him to think that you are the kind of woman who wants to have hotel marriages? Yes or no? Do you want that reputation? Mohammed and I never accepted a hotel marriage. I have all the evidence to contrary. More of it than you know. You accepted a hotel. So there's no denying it.
In his anger, Hijab says he'll claim Aisha was bad in bed if she goes public.
Look, I could simply say you couldn't satisfy. So this is the exact threat, the one that... So we have evidence of him making the threat, her saying he was going to make this threat, and then he executes the threat exactly as he said.
What he was saying personal, and tried to return his personal insult with personal attack or joke or mockery or whatever.
When it turned out that Aisha had screenshotted the conversation, a long dormant X account called True Salafi 1 jumped to Hijab's rescue.
I could do that, and they know that I can do that.
And made 2 attempts to prove Aisha was a fake by faking screenshots himself.
Let's see to what extent the thing is actually fake as you're making it out to be.
Take a look at that circle of Shuli or Dershowitz, supposedly added on top of a screenshot of Aisha's video to highlight her error.
Look closely, guys.
Well, it does highlight an error, all right. Somehow, the YouTube overlay is on top of the circle. The only way this could happen is
if these guys need to learn how to fake their shit better. If this is the sector, that would have got called out immediately. Look at the Worski Snapchat shit. You theology, religion dome people, you need to up your game.
The person who circled the suspicious words also added the YouTube overlay over the top of the words he first wrote himself. And surprise, surprise, it's now come to light that Hijab and his Dawah gang were conspiring to get these fakes out, which led to Ali Dawah sharing one of them in his video in which he swears by Allah that Hijab was not involved in its production.
And I'll be very honest with you, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is my witness. Ultimately, nobody has asked me to do this video. Yes? Nobody. For those who are coming and saying, oh, it's Muhammad.
I'm not going to try and spend, obviously, a lot of my own intellectual and even emotional energy on this.
Then there was a conversation with Behind Veils, which Hijab tried to turn into a joke about his sexual prowess.
And that was a joke I made, and I think it wasn't inappropriate.
Abdullah is into beautiful women with stable minds and nice curves, and brother Abdullah's wife knows what Abdullah...
While Aisha was seeking help, Hijab repeatedly told on himself, lapping up sexual abuse with Daniel Haikachu.
The women who take it the best are the revert sisters. From my experience of observing the situation, I found
the Antichrist cackle.
Scientific observation.
And accidentally admitting to a recent secret marriage on bitter truth.
The man is more severe, obviously. I've got divorce.
Among other things.
Be aware that these guys operate in that way.
Then there is the second false accusations video. Full confession, game over. A full confession, indeed.
Behind the microphone stands a boy pretending to be a man, small in courage, impotent in character, diminished in every way that matters.
No, wait, not that confession, the other one.
But guilty of what? Marrying and divorcing a woman. Since when did that become a crime in Islam?
And now we've learned of yet another confession by Hijab. Salman of Behind Veils explains.
So there was no marriage, right?
Misyar marriage. It became Misyar.
And what was Mohammed Hijab's response to this Misyar marriage claim? Nothing. No denial, no correction, no rebuttal, silence, absolute silence. Silence in a room of 75.
Yeah, so the problem is that, yeah, she is stupid. The problem is that obviously she did not agree to like a mutah type contractual marriage, but then he asserted one on her after the fact so that he could just basically hire her as a prostitute, which goes directly against all of like things he said publicly, and also having all these guys sweep for him. And so this guy was already, his reputation was pretty in the gutter after the takedown like 4 years ago. And now like even his own like Muslims are turning on him, which is the point.
5 Dawah Bros is consent. It is approval. It is confirmation. It is affirmation.
What Salman doesn't point out is the joke. Yar is a common Urdu word for friend, especially a lover. So the Misyar marriage fraud turned into a messy lover. Laugh it up, boys. Laugh it up.
He was such an excited man, could even last for more than 2 minutes.
So Mohammed Hijab has repeatedly admitted that a so-called marriage took place. But wait, there's more. Back in 2019, right before he met Ayesha and started grooming her, Hijab rightly called the exact behavior he would soon engage in sexual exploitation.
They're sexually exploitative people.
Over a series of videos disputing with a rival group called Salafi Publications, or SPub, about the doctrine of God, Hijab repeatedly asserts the group is engaged in sexual misconduct. While he ends up retracting many of the theological points by the end of the debate, he doubles down on the abuse allegations, saying,
you know, you guys get married for 2 days, which is true, by the way. These guys do get married for that.
Yeah, so here's him directly attacking the like mutah marriage, contractual marriage, just for sex position. And then he's doing the same thing.
That is an issue in the communities.
Mohammed Hijab, champion of women's rights. Tell us more about what this type of marriage really amounts to.
These guys, they do exploit women. And I'm saying that with all saraha. They do exploit women. When I say exploit women, in what context? In the context of marrying them for a very short space of time and then leaving them. So they're trying to fulfill their sexual drives or whatever, sexual desires, and then they leave them.
So marriage for the purpose of sexual gratification is exploitation of women? I agree. But wait a second. Hijab had ideological justification for his behavior.
I'm going to go into this marriage and we'll test the waters. I don't know if I'm going to be with this woman for the rest of my life or not. How about that? I mean, because that intention for me is better than going into like effectively pornography addictions, which are the two big elements of that.
I wonder what Hijab would have to say about that.
Be aware of them, generally speaking, because
yeah,
they do
grooming is
have
just Islamic culture. Well, and it's funny because Hijab himself seems to have made that point to her, and that's what she brought up: is that all the things he did were halal, and that it was not haram, and that this is actually all allowed, right?
Fight for themselves. You may face
talking about ethics in Muslim marriages. Well, he is. That's the point. He is, and then he's doing all this stuff, and it's just funny to me because like this all goes back like 6 years ago to this debate, and this video that I started this segment with David Wood with literal psychopath eyes, being like, "I'm a psychopath. I can talk to you." Even though he looks as crazy in this, by the end, it's like not only is this guy like, obviously because he's Muslim and has those ethics, all these bad things that we've pointed out with the Hadith and the day stuff, but he's not even consistent within his own unethicalness. And it just proves like David's point from the beginning of this, that he is just straight up like a narcissist, that he is like a psychopath.
Suppression.
I must say, Hijab, you have destroyed your opponent. Hijab, how would you respond?
I can't justify it to myself, and I have to have a conscience. I have to have an honest outlook on my own behavior.
Although I guess ultimately my point is just that this whole theological sector is a stealth drama sector. It has feuds just as long as in the sector and people tearing each other down, and there's a veneer of intellectuality to it. And some of these guys really are like smart. Like I do think David Wood is a good apologetics guy. But there's also a lot of like lolcows and dramas and stuff. So basically they end up having these three, the three Giga A logs of a job end up having this Ayesha girl on. They do an interview. I wish, because she's still Muslim, somehow she's still Muslim after all this. He does not eat the Quran on stream like I showed earlier again. But yeah. Basically, at the end of the day, I'm telling you that there's a couple stories like this. There's characters like this that are just as big as lolcows. This guy on the left, I could do a whole nother video on because he has some wacky videos about Muhammad's black son. Just, again, very like lolcow-like. And so, yeah, I don't know. This guy, this Hijab guy, he's still getting some gigs like that Piers thing. Honestly, I don't think he's going to get any more that are that big because he like pulled the rug out in that debate. But you know, it is interesting the contrast between the way the voice of reason accusations were dealt by Christians and Hijab's accusations are dealt by him. And I just want to, at the very end here, cover here exactly why theologically the dispute or the reaction is so different. Okay. So, you know, the verse that people threw around, the few people who did defend Vor, and they weren't any big figures, they were like guys in the comments, they brought out like the verse in Matthew about how if there's a sin, you should consult your brother directly and then not make it public, right? Now, obviously, the reason why I didn't think that applied to Vor is because Vor himself is a public figure who used his status as a public figure to get access to women, cookie gate, as they say. And which is why I think that, like, why a majority of the big figures, like in the Christian side of things, did call him out. And we're like, no, you need to do penance, you need to get off, and it's going to be offline, and you need to not be a spokesman anymore. So why was, like, the initial response by Muslims for this hijab stuff that's been going on to cover it up? To be to sweep, just like Sargon with V, just like with the capos and everything. And it's not just because, like, oh, Muslims are evil, that's the only reason, like, or they have no moral, like, obviously that's part of it, but, like, it is specifically commanded, Grade Sahih, this is the highest one, that whoever covers the sin of a Muslim, Allah will cover his sin in this world and in the hereafter. And Allah said, every one of my followers will be forgiven, except those who expose openly their wrongdoings. An example of this is that a man who commits a sin at night, which Allah has covered him for, which would be like hijab, like grooming and shit. And in the morning, he would say to people, I committed such and such sin last night. While Allah had kept it a secret. During the night, Allah has covered it up, and in the morning, he tears up the cover provided by Allah himself. So, like, this stuff is not just, oh, well, they're low IQ Muslims and they just, like, want to rape everyone. Like, that, obviously, that's part of it. Okay, guys, I'm saying. But this stuff is baked into the core of Islam, that you cover each other, you cover each other's ass, okay? This isn't just purely low IQ brownoid behavior. This is like a core to the religion, that you lie publicly about your beliefs, that you specifically cover up fellow Muslims' crimes and stuff. And nothing like this exists in Christianity. The closest thing is that verse in Matthew, like I said, where he was specifically talking about the process in like a small community upon which sin. That's not the same for public figures. It's not the same for these guys who are presenting themselves as trying to like save people and all this stuff. But in Islam, no, it's actually a sin. It's actually a sin to not cover it up. Actually, you have to cover it up. And yeah. That's where all this comes from. It's not only because of who these guys are, like racially, or certain elements in the organization of Islam. It is core to the theology, to the belief, the soteriology, the like how you are saved in Islam, that you cover each other's asses. And so if you like talk to Muslims, or if you in these debates and whatnot, and what they say seems to not line up to what they've said in other places, or they will deny and swear to Allah that it's not happening or whatever, know that like those oaths are not worth the fucking paper, like not worth the spit that is spent speaking them, because they will always cover for their co-religionists rather than like expose the truth, because they're directly commanded to. Now, the fact that it's taken this long for hijab to even get turned on by fellow Muslims goes to speak to this. It's been 5 years, whereas the VOR stuff, the minute it comes out, everybody's like, this guy's fucked, like he's a goon or whatever, get out. All right, so I'm going to do a short roundup of the rest of the stuff that's happened the last week. Some stuff. I do have the Mood of Heart thing. I know everybody wants me to watch the Rand swatting. It's incredible. It's Kino. There's also 4 hours of the intervention. But that stuff is actually so good that I think that we should save it for Kino Cartel this weekend. So I'm not going to cover that. I'm not going to go over the Rand stuff. I also kind of want to clip up the 4 hours into the best moments so that we only have the best stuff for when Mia House and KKK talk about it this weekend. And when we're looking right now at either Saturday or Sunday, probably 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and that would be 7 p.m. Germany time. So that nobody has to be up too late. And I think we're going to have a pretty bombshell guest on that regarding the Kino Casino threat. So hype up for that. And I'll do Mutahar right here, because this is something that's been coming for a long time. This guy had already been in hot water because of his co-host Nextaku, who's like a gross VTuber, like male VTuber who basically like porn baits in all of his thumbnails. Harmful Opinions already did a good video on that. So that was already kind of floating around Mutahar. But the other thing is, what's interesting about these guys is the way... So there's this phenomenon in evolutionary biology called, I think it's pronounced carcination, which is the tendency for animals that aren't crabs to evolve into the body plan of crabs, right? And that sounds strange, but the reason why is because the crab body plan in a lot of environments and conditions is very efficient. It's very good. So even things that aren't crabs will eventually start to look like crabs, okay? My point in all this is that there's something on YouTube that's very similar to carcination among these commentary guys, which is, I want to call it like criticalization, like moist critical. Once you reach past a certain point of like popularity and subs and stuff, you start to look more and more like moist critical and in the sense of never taking a position on anything, not like actually having an opinion on anything, being super milquetoast, super boring, total like consumer, no perspective, nothing interesting, totally like just slop. I don't like the term slop because I'm slop. Everything I do on the internet is slop because it's fun. But what I mean by that is there's no like edginess. There's nothing like that. And that's exactly like what happened to Mutahar is, you know, when he started out with he was never that edgy or anything. Like, don't get me wrong. He was never some kind of visionary or taking a stand on anything. But as he got more popular, he criticalized. And then you would just watch, I just could never sit through them because they were like 20 minutes covering some topic that you could cover in 5 minutes. And he would just do his stupid Idaho mannerisms and then just cover one article where he just either fails to read the article or just directly reads it. And there's just nothing to it, right? The closest he would ever get to something interesting is when he would do his is when he do his investigations, like with the Completionists, right? Those were kind of interesting because it would be him like, now he portrayed himself as some kind of super investigative journalist when really all it came down to was like getting public records, okay? Like just looking at public records and using common sense. But at least there was like a claim there. There was a thesis that like, Gerard is 4 things: a scammer, a charity fraudster, fat, and a piece of shit. Like, whatever. Okay, so that was at least there's something to that. But generally, 99% of what he made continued to be more and more just unrecognizable, impaling himself on the fence, no different than moist critical. And now, you know, he's kind of finally going down, specifically because there's been all these claims in the past and about like what he said before, like, I have this degree, I have that degree, I have a 9 to 5, I run this business, all this stuff. What's funny is I had checked out of this guy's whole videos and stuff early enough that what is going to get revealed here, which is that he just has no degree, he's just a YouTuber and he works a 9 to 5. Is what I always assumed was true from the beginning. And I'm not saying because I had some insight. I'm not saying like I called it or anything. It's from pure ignorance on my part. Simply because when I initially saw him and he like made a vague reference to having a job, my default presumption was, oh, this guy's just a YouTuber with a job who's like trying to make the most like cookie cutter shit now that he's carcinogized into moist critical but Indian, okay? It turns out that throughout the whole thing, he had made all these claims about being like just all this stuff. And that's like what's finally getting pointed out here. And so I find that really funny because this wasn't like when I heard about this. I mean, I even said this in like House of Shadow. I was like, what's the story here? Like what? And people were like, oh, well, he lied about all of his qualifications. I was like, wait, he said he had qualifications? Like, what are you talking about? I thought he was just some YouTuber who had a job. Like, because that's the only other thing I'd ever heard about him. But I think Harmful Opinion, there's another longer Nick Andros video that's like it's like fucking 50 minutes. I'm not going to watch that. I don't think this is worth that. Plus, Harmful Opinion is just a better editor. He's better at concision, as they say. So I think he's going to sum this up. Obviously, the Nextaku shit already was kind of disqualifying for him. Especially, there's a video where Nux like makes him watch something like, I don't know if it's full-on lolicon, but something he shouldn't have been watching, right? As some kind of weird exposure thing where he's like, well, let's see how these guys react or something like that. That was already sussing up. In conclusion, before I start this segment, you know that this guy is like This guy's kind of insufferable and like annoying and in his inability to like have a position on anything. When even Nicholas Eats Oreos, Mr. I'm optics content strategy, who won't say anything like edgy about anything, dropped this guy for being spineless. Like when even he's dropping you for being spineless because you're too optical, that's like a problem. Yeah, I heard Muta ban the word engineer.
You by my stupidity, ladies and gentlemen. I am not a smart person. I am a very stupid individual.
Yesterday, in preparation to watch a video by Nicandros on stream, I took a quick look into who Mutahar is because I wasn't really familiar with him. As it turns out, he's a really interesting guy. Mutahar really likes to remind people that
YouTube isn't my job.
People scoff at this, but it's true. It's not his job. It's much more than that. It is the core of who he is and the foundation of his self-worth.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the only thing I did know, because I was so like out of the loop with him that the only thing I had heard over and over again was just what was like, oh, I have a job. This isn't my job. I have a real job and stuff.
I'll be honest with you guys. I have a reason to live, really. And that's you all. That's...
Oh, no.
It might sound grim. You might be like, what are you trying to say? No. That's the truth. I have a reason to really go on living, you know what I mean? Other than that, what else did I have forward to look to in my life? Future of a menial job and whatnot, just becoming the standard 9 to 5.
This is a Gator line. There are some parallels to Gator with this.
Watched and adored by strangers on the internet, is entwined with his mental health to a disturbing degree.
You're important to me, If I ever lost one subscriber, I feel heartbroken. I do lose.
Whoa, mental illness.
I feel heartbroken because that's one person who used to like what I did, and they're gone.
He's wise not to say it so much anymore, as any normal person will find the sentiment quite sickening, but I think deep down, he still views his subscribers as literal family to him.
I'm not even kidding. I'd die for you. You all mean a lot to me. You have to realize that. Okay, this does
explain how he's like carcinated into Moist Critical, because he's so afraid of like offending or losing anything.
Family to me. I treat you all as if you were my brothers and sisters, right? Like
what Hinduism? Well, I actually don't know if he's from the Muslim or Hindu part of the Dark Continent, but
that's how deep the connection is, at least for me. All right, I know it sounds somewhat weird to people. It's like, why would you say that? No, it's the truth. Okay, I love you all.
Before you complain that the tidbits we'll be trolling through today are 10 years old, I'd like to remind you that that's still more recent than the pirate software-esque high school Nepo daycare Mutahar apparently still uses to big himself up as being a professional engineer with.
I was basically finishing up my, high school diploma and everything, and at the time, I worked a little computer programming job. I worked as a pen tester, you know what I mean? Like, I got into the whole thing early. I had a couple connections.
Or perhaps his claims of being an engineer come from the job he quit in 2013 to pursue film when he was 18 or 19, which is presumably the awful bank app programming job you may have heard him mention.
So, for me, I left that job. I left pen test, I left all that kind of stuff. I left a soulless career, and I jumped onto film and TV.
Then again, maybe none of this is where his
career and entered the very soulful job of saying hi-he, hi-de-ho, dark web review.
Claims of being an engineer come from, because back then he called the career path that of a blue-collar computer programmer. Did you know that he didn't actually start calling himself specifically an engineer until over a year after he stopped studying to become one and started pursuing film instead? As far as I can tell from public record, it's only in 2015 that he switched from saying he was a programmer to saying he was an engineer. At first,
I guess the reason this is controversial is because the people who are hooked into Mutahar, like, watch all this shit. He does try to make like a claim from authority a lot that he's a programmer or whatever. See, I never saw that stuff. Like I said, he became too boring to me too early. So all I knew of was I have a job. So I always thought he was a nobody, like he had nothing. But again, that's just why like you shouldn't brag about your job if you're going to be like in this. Because I criticize this with like legal lowly mindset as well, where you like present yourself in LawTube as like, I'm a lawyer, so my opinion matters more about these things. And it makes people, I guess the idea is that it puts you ahead. Like it makes you at a starter point that's ahead where people will think that you're an expert. But again, just make your analysis, say what you think. Don't rely on the authority, on the argument from authority. And if it's a good opinion, if it's something that like holds up to people who actually do have experience, then they'll say so and you'll get a good response. You shouldn't put the cart ahead of the horse, essentially.
dead-end computer engineer. But over
Because then when you
time,
fall short, like what's happening here, when it turns out that your authority isn't real, or your perspective isn't informed, like with lowly mindset, then it all falls apart.
somehow, for some reason, it morphed into a source of pride and, more importantly, credibility. And he clearly became very attached to the title.
I'm an engineer. I'm a fucking engineer. I'm a goddamn engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm a fucking engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm only an engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm just.
He's a hypothetical engineer. It's like Plato's forms. He's ideating towards the form of an engineer, okay? Being an engineer can't be encapsulated by a piece of paper. It's a lifestyle. Maybe that's what he should say.
Just an engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm just a fucking engineer. I'm a goddamn engineer. I'm a fucking engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm an engineer. As an engineer, being an engineer, I have to tell you as an engineer. I'm just a dumb engineer as an engineer. My engineer asked, but as an engineer, so I'm just a fucking dumb fucking engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm an engineer. As an engineer, I'm an engineer.
Oh yeah, the whole BetterHelp thing, that was such a disaster. Yeah.
As an engineer, I'm saying I'm the number one engineer. As an engineer,
It's crazy to me that BetterHelp got totally nuked by all that. Went underground for like 2 or 3 years, and now it's back like nothing happened. And there are people taking it as a sponsor like nothing happened, including people who got burned back in the day for taking it. It really just goes to show how short the memory of everybody is. And I mean, this is proven even in the Kino Casino stuff, where Josh can rewrite the entire history of the last like 8 years because nobody in there even remembers it.
Speaking of somebody that is an engineer, I'm an engineer. I'm an engineer.
It would seem that the further he gets from being an engineer, the more of an engineer he becomes. I have to agree with Nick Andros that it looks very strange. It looks even stranger though, if you happen to be aware that in 2014 he made a video where he claims to have worked in video editing, film and TV for 4 years.
If you don't know, I work in the video editing industry, and I work in film and television in general, and in there,
now we're in film and
I get a
television.
lot of work, thank God. I'm a kind of guy who hasn't had a vacation in about 4 years now, because even if I try to have a vacation, I always end up bringing work with me.
I hate this shit. You should never. The fact he has so many of these like thank you videos where he just, well, it's not trauma because none of this is trauma. It's just I have a job and it sucks, I guess. But just like dumps in this way is really.
While I do have a good time, I do end up working constantly. So for 4 years, I have been pretty much.
All this stuff is always just going to get. It's never going to line up because obviously his perception of himself and how much authority he should have changes as he gets bigger as a YouTuber, which is why these claims change over time about like his actual position.
The whole same job, and
that job, 4 years, 2014. So you were doing that since 2010, 2 years before you normally tell us you started to get interested in editing to begin with. I'll put this one down to him having a stroke or something. He's not the most coherent speaker at the best of times. But there is at least one genuine issue with his career in editing and film that I noticed. You may not have known that Mutahar has a very strong connection to Japan. In August of 2015, he let everyone know that he lived there at some point.
For those of you who don't know, I used to actually primarily work and operate in Japan. And man, when I lived over there, Japan's like a really interesting place, alright?
He's also visited many times for work. Mutahar has made some videos where he talks about real spooky experiences he's had. One of those being when he heard footsteps in Japan. In that video, he also talks about his work there. He explains he went to make a documentary on Aokigahara Forest.
I go to Japan. I have work in Japan annually that I do. It's, if you guys don't know what I do for a living, it's video editing and whatnot, and I work on production work. Now, in Japan, there is a forest called Aokigahara Forest. Now, I'm on there doing a shoot. It's sort of like a documentary-esque look into Aokigahara Forest.
He tells us that he had to trek through that forest, and that he came across clothing which he picked up.
So, as we're trekking through the forest, I come across clothing. Now, the guy who's coming with us, who basically shows us the forest...
Is he about to steal Jake Paul or whoever's story?
Forest and navigates us through it, tells me that it's fresh. Incredibly sad sight to bear. And I picked it up, and I held it for a little bit, and I...
Whoa, what? So this touched the dead body and you picked it up? It's a good thing you're not Jewish, dude.
No, soaked
Wait,
it all.
Isn't that haram? Isn't that haram? If he is from Pakistan... I think that's unclean, bud.
It might be tempting to assume because he's telling a ghost story that this is completely made up. But it's not a fantastical story, it's his IRL ghost stories. And all that happened was he heard some footsteps and got scared. It is presented as truth. And he actually talks about his visit again 3 years later in 2018, when he condemns Jake Paul for his Aokigahara video. And he says something interesting.
Me personally, I have a little bit of history to this, and the reason I'm making this video is because I've been to the same forest, Aokigahara Forest in Japan. It is a very ethereal place, a place where a lot of people die.
You mean ethereal? Damn. Did we really need this video to know he didn't go to college?
And what does he say he did there?
Me visiting there at one point in my life, it is a very interesting place. I never had the entire intention to film it, never did.
He never intended to film there, and he never did film there. When you were there, as you told us before, to film a documentary-esque video on the forest.
But I've never seen any dead body, never seen it, but then again, I never really ventured too far into it. I got to see it firsthand.
You never ventured too far in to the forest you said 3 years ago you trekked through with a small crew. To be fair, he is consistent about never seeing a dead body, which he said before he, would have buried.
Thankfully, the good part about the story is we never came across that body. And it's also sad in a way too, because if I did, I'd definitely give it a fucking burial and whatnot, dude, to honor the dead and shit.
Nevertheless,
I mean, this is just cringe. Like,
at least one of these stories must be a lie. I would suggest there's a hint about which one in this bizarre phrasing.
I never had the entire intention to film it, never did.
Never had the entire intention to film it? And the fact that telling people about how you messed around with the clothing of people who recently killed themselves wouldn't be a good look in a video condemning Jake Paul for his lack of respect. Engineer or not, he's certainly told at least one lie about his film career. Anyway, enough of that for now. Let's get back to the claims of being an engineer. While these days he simply peppers his questionable qualification into any coverage he can, a decade ago he was much naughtier, in a way that seems to have never been addressed. Many people don't care if some guy on YouTube is saying he's an engineer, even if he really can't rightfully use that title. But he's done something a bit more than that, a bit more specific. Let's read through an old Some Ordinary Gamer's Facebook post. Out of the hundreds of videos I have made, I personally felt really proud of this one due to the methods of filming.
This is like Gator. This is a lot like Gator.
And the finesse I put into making this one. I put finesse in everything, but this video speaks to me personally as an engineer.
So he's both like a video maker, an engineer, and a programming. And this guy's got like a hack. Crazy.
Get a taste of this masterpiece.
Power this thing on, and you come across a set of flashing lights over here, and you got
beautiful audio engineering, sophisticated framing. Before my whole YouTube channel, I worked in the tech and cybersecurity industry. Cybersecurity industry? Ah yes, the high school job he got from having connections. You'd certainly guess that means something else from reading this though, without that context. Wouldn't you? One of my highlights was being able to test stuff like this. It makes me feel alive, knowing that I can use this YouTube channel not just to share creepypastas, but my love of tech from time to time.
My love of tech.
This will not be a common trend of videos. Every once in a while I do stuff like this because it makes me feel really alive. Doing an unboxing like this from a company I follow and hold dear to me as a tech enthusiast, I feel honored to be the few to do this, and you all are to thank for it. I would not be here if it wasn't for you awesome people. I personally teared up editing this video because for the first time I've been supported by caring and loving people. And
Some Ordinary Gators. It really does go to say, it does go to say though that if Gator had just not hooked his hitched his cart to Ralph and been the Ralph co-host and just had gone off on his own and then maybe suppressed his Lolicon tendencies, maybe he'd have 3 million subscribers too. No, not really. You know, as boring as Mutah is, I don't think Gator had what it takes to recreate it.
To be at a milestone like this in my life shows that I have the best family a guy could ask for. I wouldn't change anything for the world, and I will always be your same lovable goof. For those who have been here since the beginning or just a few seconds ago, thank you for changing this person's life and making it so much more enjoyable than what it used to be. When all this is said and done, I hope you all know that despite the entertainment that I've provided you all, and for those who say I make them happy, you all have no idea just how happy each and every one of you make me. Thank you for
this guy has a really weird parasocial relationship with YouTube, and it's not just from this post, it's from all the other stuff we've seen where he's talking about how like it's the only reason he's alive, and then like dumping all of like my job sucks and stuff. It's sort of like people who use alcohol like to escape or whatever. It's like YouTube is like he's doing YouTube in the same way, where something can go from just being like fun and it's not that serious to being the entire basis of your psychological stability.
Supporting me and allowing me to do videos like this. Heart emoji. So what is this video he's talking about? It's an ad. Oh, just because he was sent something doesn't mean it's an ad, and it's even disclosed in the title that they sent it to him. No, it's a full-on ad. The disclosure of that fact is just hidden below the fold. Mutah used his claim to be an engineer to pose as an expert while advertising for Intel.
I myself used to be an engineer before I went to the video editing route. Now, as an engineer, I played around with the latest PC parts.
Not only does he claim he was an engineer, he specifically states that his his work as an engineer involved playing around with the latest PC parts. To big up Intel, the company that's sponsoring this video, he claimed to have direct expertise with parts like this. The two jobs I'm aware of him claiming to have had before he started YouTube were the high school penetration testing one and programming bank applications.
I told you guys, I'm a guy who used to code bank applications.
Okay, so this guy did some like high school tests, like, you know, like some high school club shit where you're pretending to be cybersecurity, then pretended to be an engineer to get an ad from Intel. This is very Jeet like this is he's not beating the Jeet allegations. This is kind of just a scam. Like he just ran a scam on Intel, which is kind of base running a scam on Intel, but he's also obviously running it on his quote community or whatever.
Really boring shit.
Which one of those involved playing around with the latest processors and graphics cards? Oh, do you mean you did that in your own time while you were an engineer? But Mutah, you like to brag about how little tech you had back then.
I was editing stuff on this laptop and recording stuff here. Now I'm going to show you guys what this fucking...
Mutah, I'm going to have to ask that you substantiate this claim you made in an advert for Intel, that you were an engineer who, as an engineer, played around with the latest tech. If it's not true...
Please redeem my engineering degree, sir.
Using those credentials to big up a company that's sponsoring you is fucked. In my personal opinion, that would make you a scammer. I have to imagine it's not particularly legal either, but I'm not a lawyer and I'm not going to go into that. It's just obviously bad enough on its own. But harmful, he's a nice guy, he does good things. Yeah, he does. He's a hero in real life. Even back then. Let's read a couple of the stories he's told.
Whoa.
He once taught a mother how to look after her child.
Okay, so this guy is just a perpetual fabulist. This really is not beating the, like, its inherent G allegations where you just lie about whatever you need to get ahead, to climb up, to get the contract, to get whatever.
Okay for kids to ring your doorbell once in a while, but to call you a dried up cunt is pushing it far and above unacceptable. I go to this child's mother, repeat the phrase, and she goes of to defend her kid. Rest assured, I taught her how to fucking parent. If you want to procreate, make sure you are kids, have good values, and learn some damn respect.
This dirty untouchable come and tell me, Brahmin Mutahar, that I am dried up cunt? I send the tigers at him, right in the heart, shoot them.
'Cause I don't take that shit. Mutahar. Damn, Mutah, you kicked that toddler's ass. But he's not just a stone-cold badass. He also has a heart of gold. He's a philanthropist. This may not be gaming related, but I feel it's something to share. This morning, while coming home from my office, I saw a wealthy individual talking down to someone that was homeless, simply for the reason that he made more money and therefore was a better fit to society. I did everything to this man to shut him up, short.
What? This is why Christians have that verse that don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing, but that's the problem. Okay, here, we're gonna get real esoteric here. In the Indian Hindu class system, like, the charity has to be public because it's part of how you, like, generate good karma and how their social system works, you know, because obviously the Brahmins don't touch, even though the Brahmins are wealthy because they get donated money by, like, the Kshatras, whatever, the middle class, like there's the soldier class and then the merchant class. It has to be public. That way it can, like, speak to your dharmic balance or whatever.
Of getting violent. What, did you let him,
That's what he's doing here. He doesn't even know it, but that's what he's doing. He's reasserting his dharmic claim as the Brahmin.
Sniff your poop spittoon? I've been at both ends of the spectrum, but I've never been homeless in my life. I suspect there's another spectrum you're on too, brother. The way some people treat others is absolutely horrible. No one is a better man or woman simply because they have more. So many factors go into that. Money does not define you as a person.
Caste does. That's why the Brahmin are technically poor, because they go around as gurus with, like, no clothes. But then technically the, like, church will own, well, they don't call it a church, but you know what I mean? Like, the temple will be immensely wealth because it's part of, like, the collective charity to donate to it. It's just funny how that stuff works out. Like, I guarantee you Mutahar, like, probably was not, like, super taught any of this stuff. It's just so inherent into their worldview, into their social structure that he plays it out, even though he's, like, from Canada. I'm probably, I don't know, I'm sure he's, like, gone back and visited India or whatever, but
I ended up giving this man what he considers a small fortune, $130 in my wallet. Wow. The individual was very grateful for it and proceeded to hug me.
We did it. You just bought that guy crack hits for, like, the rest of the week.
Mutahar, beloved of the homeless. Now, I didn't give him money simply for being homeless. I gave him money because it was the human thing to do. Nah, Invader Zim, you're not tricking me. Life isn't about living for yourself or spreading some great message or winning a few battles here and there. It's simply about being a good person. It's kind of funny when I say I learned this morals from ordinary video games, but it's true.
Video games taught me to help the poor. Which game? GTA?
What, the rising price of AAA? Is that why you gave him $130? Okay, look, Harmful, please. It's pretty cringe, but he doesn't deserve this. Think of his health. Think of his heart condition. You know that stress gives him cancer, as he explained in 2014. For those out there, I've had a bad couple of days as of now, and why I've been unable to
If you bully me, I'll die.
I have several
You should try this one now. Like, this is too old. You should try this. He should do that in his response. I think that there is actually a response video. We'll see.
medical conditions, and although my stress has always been high and this is my coping method for that, I believe family heart issues have surfaced, and I've been cursed with them. I also believe that cancer could be involved as a potential factor in the situation, alongside work problems IRL. Were you telling people you might have cancer because a doctor said that? Or was it whispered to you by one of your sleep paralysis demons? Because it's not a joke, is it, Mutahar? It's not something you should
Ganesh told me if you bully me, I'll have AIDS.
just play around with frivolously.
Your parents probably will also tell you straight up, lying about having cancer is like evil bad, okay?
Whoa. It's tough. It's tough.
Like, God damn, if you believe in a God and the devil, you know that this shit is alone enough to send you down to fucking hell and burn there. That's how bad this situation is.
To be
burn
fair,
there like the Hindus burn their widows.
unlike Boogie, he didn't say he did have cancer. He just floated that possibility out there to the world for sympathy. And it can be scary. A couple of years back, I had to have a scan done, which cleared up there wasn't a problem, but I was spooked, and I talked about it. I talked about what my doctor said in the test I was getting. I didn't say, I believe cancer could be involved in why I feel bad. That would be fucking weird. Mutahar, did you have a good reason to say you thought cancer was involved? Or did you just throw it out there for giggles? Careful bringing up the big C word. Sunground Studios might try to make friends with you. You know, you actually remind me of him. Not because you're brown, because of the suits. No racism here, no Islamophobia. Not because you're brown, because of the
I promised some of you a photo of me in a suit during a live stream and in some videos as well. A wild Sudahar appeared. Damn. We're going to formal.
suits.
It's the same suit. Wait, so he only has one suit? Applebee's? Is this Brahmin Guru Mutahar of Applebee's?
No racism here, no Islam. Not even.
Okay, so he is. Well, then there goes all my jokes. I thought he was Hindu. You lied to me, Chad. Now I have to redo it all as a Muslim.
I'm going to mention the now deleted meeting with Al Qaeda video.
What? The deleted a meeting with Al Qaeda video. Okay, he is Pakistani then, I guess, because that's like where they all were.
I don't know what's in that. Probably just
what?
an engineering conference. Yeah, this stuff's old. But how old's the stuff he was using just last month to claim engineering credentials? And it's not like he has a degree, is it? His cybersecurity background is a high school nepo job. Remind you of anyone else? He wants to live in the past? I'm merely obliging. And not only that, this is the foundation of his channel.
Do I even own a suit? I don't own anything.
This is the basis of his internet presence. When you see the die-hard fans who love him no matter what, been there from the start, the first million, it's because they've been told he'd die for them, that he loves them, that they're his family. Literally. Disgusting. And this is just what can be found from a brief scan of his career yesterday morning, so I'd have some idea who Mutahar is.
So I think there's a response. Mutahar the engineer response.
Mutahar, of Some Ordinary Gamers, has just responded to commentary and questions regarding his claims of engineering credentials. Wait, what am I talking about? You don't see anything, do you? He hasn't posted a video, he hasn't made a tweet. Exactly. You don't see anything. Like any good professional engineer, Mutahar found a technical solution. His response was to blacklist the word engineer and perhaps others from his comment
Obviously everyone was going to notice that.
sections. This is very easily confirmed
Yeah.
by account switching or logging out. Let's leave a perfectly innocuous comment on his most recent video and include the
I thought he
word
died.
engineer, logged in as my Nightmare Club channel. Now let me switch back to harmful opinions. Let's sort by new to look at it. It is not there, no matter how many times I refresh the comment section. I also left some other other comments including the word engineer on other accounts. Perhaps someone could engineer a more efficient method, I wrote. You'll notice it's a highlighted comment because I'm looking at it with a direct link. I can see it when I'm logged into the account that made the comment, but if I follow that link while not logged in or logged into another account, it doesn't work. To be thorough, I tested the exact comments I used on his channel on other channels, and this does not occur. It is absolutely not YouTube's basic filter. So Mutahar has responded, and his response was to censor you, no matter what he might say or do next. Remember, this was response number 1. And he did this just 3 days after uploading a video where he says this.
We're living in a time of censorship coming at us from both the government end and from private entities. And honestly, we have to find some way to fight back.
I don't think Mutahar means a single thing he says, ever. Some people were disappointed with my last video that I only covered stuff from a decade ago or more, which is because I started looking at him from the start, and I made a video about what I'd seen. Well, there you go. There's an example of him being a total fraud from this week. Mutahar, just 4 years ago, you were still calling your viewers your family.
I have to be honestly just thankful that we as a community are around, and you guys are basically my family at this point. Like, I consider you all extended family.
And now you're not going to let your family say a word you love to say so often? That's not very brotherly of you, is it? Do you remember saying this 4 months ago?
Yeah, I'm honestly serious here. Like, if my comment section didn't exist, I would live a much depressing lifestyle.
Bro, isn't it the opposite? Like, the whole advice is never pay attention to the what are you talking about?
I love my YouTube comment section. I actually really love you guys so much beyond all of it. Because to be honest, I can just, like, anytime I need a good laugh and a good happy day, I just read some of the stuff you guys say, whether you're, like, talking about the topic that I'm discussing, or you're just straight up roasting me. It's always funny.
Isn't this the guy who had to leave Twitter because they were calling him a Jeet and shit? And now you're saying you love to read the comments? What are you talking about?
Just get down and be part of the community over here.
You love being roasted, but the E word is a step too far. There's free speech and then there's hate speech, and engineer with a hard R is clearly a slur. You can of course say it with a soft A instead, and it won't be filtered. You know all you had to do was do nothing, right? Like you said, YouTube's not your job, you don't rely on it financially in any way. And even if it was, no matter how many people hate or dislike you, or think you're a total fraud, you'll always have tens, hundreds of thousands of people who love you no matter what. Is that not enough for you? Are you still the little boy from 10 years ago whose heart's broken when someone unsubscribes?
If I ever lost one subscriber, I feel heartbroken.
I guess so. Now, the odds of Mutahar seeing this, I would assume, are very, very low. But I really hope that Mutahar knows that if he's not a fraud, all of this was salvageable. If any of those jobs he had engineer in the title and he showed receipts, it would have gone a long way, even if he has been fluffing himself up a little bit. If you provided receipts on top of that in the course of one of those jobs, you dealt with cutting-edge hardware, I would make sure that everyone knows the Intel ad where you made those claims isn't fraudulent. But instead, your go-to on becoming aware of what's going on was to censor everyone and try to stop the spread of information. That's a problem in and of itself, brother. You went full managem. You went full pirate software. Good luck with that. What was it Mutahar said about that guy again?
Just learn to take a little bit of an L. Learn to laugh.
Yeah, honestly, it's interesting if he had just come out and been like, yeah, you know, in the past, I've kind of exaggerated my, qualifications. You know, we all do it on resumes. And yeah, you know, I'm just trying to get ahead or whatever. But like, when it really comes down to the things that matter, I've never lied to you. Like, he coked. Like, basically, if he just took the L and coked a little bit and said it was all from 10 years ago, or just didn't respond at all, he probably would be okay. But now, like, he's going down the path, right? He's going down the primrose locale path here.
Laugh at yourself. None of this would have been an issue.
Yeah. All right, we have very little bit of Anissa's stuff. First of all, this pie is fucked. This pie is completely fucked. This pie literally looks like you took someone's blood and gore and put it into a pie, and then this isn't even a proper crosshatch. It's fucked. Now we have the turtle cake. The turtle cake. We can see a lot of artistic vision here, the framing. Now, obviously, she wants revenge on Ian now because he laughed at the cake, right? Keep that in mind. So then she makes a Mediterranean bean salad, which I'm pretty sure requires no cooking. This is all just cut up vegetables. And it makes her sick. so somehow you get sick from eating vegetables and beans. Like I don't know how that happens. She's like been sick for like 5 days now. Obviously, and this is what Kino Casino probably is going to run with, and it's probably true, honestly, is that she's saying that she's sick so that she doesn't have to fit her streaming schedules, because she said she was going to start streaming this week, and we all know how that's going to go. It's going to be amazing, and so this is the excuse. So here's the revenge for making fun of the cake, is that she's being served hand and foot. And then she talks about how she uses soap and water to soap. Why are you putting soap on your vegetables? Isn't this like a joke about black people? That like, they like wash they chicken with soap, and it's just like crazy. Like, why would you ever do that? So, yeah. And then here's the final revenge. Is she posts a creep shot of Ian, where you can see that right where his yarmulke usually goes. Well, I guess no, he's anti-Semitic. Huh. I can't say that then. I don't know then. Where he usually wears a hat or some cope thing, he's got a massive bald spot. So, and also, like, what is this? Has he just not had a hair, like a proper haircut? What's going on here? I don't know. Maybe he has trichinosis, like shoe on head. I'm sure that Kino Casino will literally spend 6 hours on just these pictures, but that's really all there is to it. He's bald, whatever. This was also last week that they were talking about how in the fallout for Creator Clash, they're only going to get paid out. They're only going to get paid out like half the money to the women specifically, which is just great. More stuff with, I covered this very a little bit last week, how they're not all is well in the state of the Nicholas mob. They're mad about how Willie is like 5 IQ. Out of any context, it's not a video essay. And specifically what they're talking about is him whining about doxing while also reposting the same docs, which is what this is. He deletes the post. Well, I don't even know why you didn't do a podcast with Dan if doxing is your concern. You literally did something worse than what you claimed Jay Stock and Dickers did to you. Also, can we get off the high horse there? Doxing is legal bullshit. Be a normal person. And this is what he deleted, was him quote tweet, whatever this is, which has the guy that he doesn't like dox in it. It's like it's very high elf kind of, where it's like, I hate doxing. Doxing's evil. By the way, here's a retweet of the dox to call it out. Like, what? And he's not like getting criticism for it. And this is, when you see this guy is like the top capo for Nicholas. Now, to be fair, he's kind of got a mind of its own. I kind of have some respect, a little bit of respect for Schmagel, because he does push back, and he does watch a lot of stuff that I know that the optics cucks would not want him to. But he calls it out. He just sounds very autistic, which is funny. But what are your thoughts on Harmon Smith? He's a hardcore Nintendo fanboy. He's actually really knowledgeable in the sector. He did a great Crackada stream, but unfortunately he's a kid. I have never heard of him. I'll look at him, and maybe I'll pull some stuff up. If there's good locale type stuff, I'll look. I'm surprised I haven't, because if he has he never like stuck his like dick into the sector at all, like gotten into any fights or anything? So this is also like Ethan's on his like dox spree of all the people he doesn't like. I already said I think this is a mistake. Obviously, he's leaning into his whole like Lex Juther, as the other product calls it. Yeah, I was actually just looking at the flamenco thread here. I'll bring it up. I had it on a minute ago. But his Lex Juther arc, where he's doxing all these random mods and stuff. Again, I think that's a mistake. I think that you already have like all this stuff that was really bad, the CPS call and the skulls. This is really just asking for more of that when you start doing this. Now, I understand part of it is for the lawsuit, and there is Denims did throw them under the bus, her own mods under the bus. But yeah, I don't know. Like the problem is not all this is going to occur in the courtroom, as evidenced by his own actions.
Between Arab and Jew. In the days that followed,
That's
that
crazy.
the blessed
Jew
night-
is not a fucking ethnic. It is a Jewish is not an ethnicity.
Yes, it is.
This constructed ethnicity. This demonic ethnicity.
Whoa, buddy. You can't be talking about the high elves that way, man. Again, it's just so funny that some of this stuff that I pointed this out when I did the whole Ethan Hassan thing, that like literal straight up lines from like the alt-right or from the sector or whatever are being rehashed. And then this is him just saying he's going total war, right? And let me pull this up. So it looks like they found a bunch of his old his old discords and stuff. This is him spurging out. For some reason, he really hates Nicholas, which is weird because in my mind, Nicholas is not really the architect of Flamenco's demise. Now, obviously, like, Nicholas has the video where he, like, kind of goes over everything, and it's pretty well made. Not like it took a lot of work. I mean, there's so much there, right? But I think it's because he thought Nicholas was his friend. The problem is he thought, like, everybody was his friend. So I don't know. I said in a just world I would shoot George. But, like, I feel that's reasonable. When you defame someone as a pedophile, especially as faggot pedophile defending ass, who do you defend? Kind of done taking shit from LARPer and Chief Pix. So now he's also a Destiny head? What? Talked down to me, being talked down to from Pick. That's so funny. Yeah, okay, so I'm kind of afraid to click on some of these because I don't know what's going to be in them, honestly. Last August, Pixie previously banned Raildex, Pippa Kluger for what can be made out from these screenshots, not having remorse for the murdered Trump supporter, in between a bunch of, okay, I don't care. He's spurking about Christianity, Catholicism, and shitting on Islam. Sounds familiar. I guess I'm just as bad as him then. He's currently A-logging, Harmon Smith. He calls Baldur's Gate 3 Baldo's Gate 3 as a crooked. Well, there's also the user Baldo's Gate 3. Here's some shorts, junky on Josh. His Nintendo rants are deranged. All right, I'll look into that then. He's dead, and you're here tearing into his... We don't know if he's dead. I know that's the theory, is that that's what Brian says, is that he's dead. But again, I still think it's all a hype machine. Argue against the Orthodox. Why is he pretending to be Catholic? Why is he talking about any of this shit on Twitter? A raccoon girl panning for gold. What? Yes, I view making very porn is probably not a great thing to do for starters. Making porn, dude, you are like the porn guy. That was like your whole identity. What are you talking about? Fed posting and barking. Oh no, I guess Foon is not him. It's that another person. Why are they part of this story then? Who cares? So he's like inserting himself into the Destiny shit. Effective immediately. Anyone still hoping for will ever stream again? Yeah. Stop banning people. Stop banning people. Okay, these are just care about Discord fights. Where's the good shit? Beyond simple BDSM. Okay, here we go. Sifting through the larger Reddit archives, he created countless alts to keep shitting up our politics, probably because of karma. Dude, why are you even engaging on Reddit? To what end? Like, what victory condition are you ever going to achieve on Reddit? What is the point? Sometimes shill his video. Okay, I guess that's. And PM multiple usual about BD. Oh. He also frequently posted in Tumblr and Action. Cringe. He talks and posts exactly like a Redditor going back. He had made 20 posts per day in 2017. Up to fucking 78? Whoa. Okay, and these are all his accounts. I'm not going to show that. A look and hack into these accounts reveal he was actively talking in PMs until 2021 and sending just one in 2022, trying to get, okay, whatever. Oh no. Are we really going to read this? I have a feeling this is going to be bad. Looking to be a... Whoa. Whoa. What? Temporarily banned for threatening violence. Conquered women's stuff too. Whoa. XXO Janny? So he self-identified as a Janny? What? I'm a 27 male dom living in Tennessee. My favorite animal is probably gorillas. What? Is that related? What? I'm also a full-time student with a part-time job. What do you mean by BDSM? Since you give people with very vanilla teeth. Connor 3. Why is this here? I'm willing to. Okay, whoa. Okay, whoa. What the fuck? Okay, this is sad. I kind of don't even. I'm kind of afraid to read some of these because I feel like it's gonna get really bad. So he keeps getting removed for not having enough karma. Not in Knoxville, but with my own place. Isn't that a lie? I thought he lived with his parents. 29, and so he's just getting older. That's sad. Want someone to access your computer at any time and threaten you with info that is... Okay, this is someone else, more or less. Yes, do you have limits on what you wanting to do? Or do you want to use a safe... What the... He has like a dox fetish? $32, finishing up my degree in the lifestyle. I do quite a bit, actually, and I'm not super sure. Ideally, okay. Bro, why are you dating fetish forward? What I mean by that is it's like, this fetish is your whole life, and so the only way you know how to date is to go to like the communities that are open about it and then find people there. Why can't you just be normal? Why can't you go out to, like, I mean, obviously the best place to meet like a woman is at church, but like if you can't do that, like go to a bar, go bowling, like for real, like just go anywhere that like that. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it this way? Why does it have to start with the fetish and then move on? Like, it's just, how do you ever think this is going to work out? I try to be industrious. I'm tampered by ADHD. Great opening thing here. I'm retarded. Guessing you like rope. Whoa. And then doesn't get a response and stuff. Heard you are looking for flamenco. What's up? Oh, no. God, he's got a lot of accounts. What the hell? A lot of these are just bans. I think I might be able to give you the strict, firm hand that you've been looking for. When is he going to return to this? I don't know. I don't think he is. I think he's been scared off, which is probably for the best, but, like, yeah. I'm game. And now he wants to give cuddles. Which is it, dude? Are you like the... You know what this literally is? This is a sketch in the new Extreme piece where they have the three guys and it's like the daddy dom thing. And obviously it's supposed to be like a direct reversal of the Wall show from the original season, where instead of clowning on unrealistic women, it's clowning on unrealistic men. And you have the first guy who's like very clearly a virgin who has no experience, but he wants to present himself as dominant, but he just can't do it because he just can't. It's just not him. That's like flamenco. He's like literally that guy in that skit. I'm a dom and like League of Legends. Not a great combo. Not a great combo. I would be interesting in forging a connection. Are you very, very... Okay, dude, just bail. No, we'll probably talk about KC and the Metzger thing on Kino Cartel on either Saturday or Sunday. And we'll probably also talk about the Rand thing. I'm trying to keep the like really good stuff that's relevant to that for that to build hype. And that'll be with House and KKK, so it'll be better than just, you know. We might honestly cover this too. I might want to stop because some of these are pretty funny. A lot of these were not, okay. A lot of this was 7 years ago, I see, that he kind of, you're a rather naughty girl, aren't you? Oh boy. I like hiking and various other things. Okay, buddy. I do live in the middle of nowhere. Oh, he sent a picture. The Rand shit is really good. It's hilarious how he, like, was just at the finish line of getting them to leave and then chimps the fuck out and he still doesn't get arrested. So good. That's what I said. I think it's going to be fun when all three of us watch it together. What the fuck is this? If you were my live-in pet, I would expect these rules to be upheld whenever we are alone together. What the fuck? This is literally the freaking skit from Extreme Beats. This is the same thing. Good job, sheep. Okay. Here are images. I'm not going to show this initially because I'm afraid of what's going to be. Based on these conversations, I'm afraid what's going to be in this. So let me look first. Okay. So one of these is a dick pic, but it's not available anymore. Okay. This is... Yeah, we'll go over the arrest. What is this? Also, what is this? This is crazy. Why is he like a secret agent? Also, we got another Applebee's suit. He's got the wrong... You're not supposed to... Not black pants, man. With a not black jacket. Also, no cufflinks. Also, too short. Also, shouldn't be wearing a black tie with this. Kind of fucked it up, man. There's a nice little handbook that teaches you how to dress as a man. Go read that. And there we have it. What is this? Is this his mic? Damn. Flamenco's looking good. His house looks like a funeral home. What's up with that? The second channel, no uploads, Murdoch Mark. Some good, strong advice from Champ. Let's see.
Now, maybe you're familiar with Reddit. Maybe you even use it, and if you do, throw yourself off a fucking...
Yeah. I feel like there's more funny stuff here, but I'm gonna kind of save it. I might present some of these on Saturday. And like I said, that's also where we'll watch Rand, and also the other reason I wanna wait till Saturday to go over Rand is because it's like 4 hours, the intervention. And I want to listen through it and cut out all the best parts so that we can fit it into like a 10, 20 minute segment. Because we're not going to sit through 4 hours of it. But the arrest itself is pretty great. It's pretty crazy. And I think it'll be even better on that. So that'll be, like I said, it'll be either Saturday or Sunday at 10 Pacific, 1 Eastern, 7 Germany time. And like I said, we have a big guest. We have a big guest who maybe has some inside information about the ongoings of the Kino Casino thread, and what the path one takes from being a soft fan to a giant hater. Okay. You read the Book of Mormon? Yeah, like I said, I do want to do some Mormon stuff. There's a lot. There's a lot more. It's kind of like the Islam thing where there's a lot, and I already have a guy who's prepared a lot of stuff. There's a lot of textual analysis of the Book of Mormon that's interesting about run-on sentences and how many times it uses language patterns of the King James Bible in ways that are not grammatically correct. That's pretty fascinating. All right, guys. Until Friday.